Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Jacket Jockeys with Justin.
And me, Nugget.
Oh, no, no,
No.
no. R.I.P.
All right,
A
all
long
right.
time
A
ago.
long time
A very
ago.
long time
Yes.
ago.
No, not really, folks. It isn't. It isn't Nugget from Beyond the Grave.
Yeah, I played the role of Nugget. I'm the Mactor.
Mact. Oh, mouse actor. I love it. No, it is actually I,
Exclusive
Jen with a
interview.
J.
You won't get
Exclusive.
this one
Yes.
anywhere else, right? Everybody
No.
gets the human actors, but who got that mouse
Oh
who played
God.
Nugget? We
Yeah.
did. That's right.
We're gonna have to get Akila to be the interlocutor. So I used that word, so we can check that off the bingo
You
card.
did. Well done. Well
Thank you.
done. So hey, we're back
Hey,
again. We got
it shows.
we're gonna talk about season 2 episode, oh god, which one are we on? I think it's 8. I think it's season 2 episode 8. It chooses.
Oh, it chooses.
It chooses, I
Well,
believe is the
well,
title.
but we already watched it, so we can use the past tense at this point.
Uh
Or it's a general. I
is
guess
that how it
it's a
works?
general claim that it chooses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of the situation.
Right.
If someone needs if it needs blood, it chooses whose blood is good enough.
Yeah.
I guess.
It chose in the past and it has yet to choose in the present. So
I choose, you choose, he, she, it chooses.
yeah. Yeah.
Just a little conjugation lesson for our listeners.
It is
What do you have to
necessary
say?
that it choose.
Mm, yeah, excellent subjunctive.
Just just to cover all the bases.
Indeed.
All right. Well, any general comments you want to make
Wow.
before we
What a
dive in?
ride.
So we've watched this episode like very recently, more so than usual for this. Usually
We're actually
it's,
still watching it. It hasn't ended yet.
usually, yeah, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
Oh my
don't tell
god.
us. Don't tell us.
Yeah, so anyway, it's pretty fresh. It's possible there's some details that we might miss, but that's always true, isn't it? In fact, that reminds me, I just wanted to thank Claude and Justin Patreon patron Dan Shed for informing us that the scene where Jeff passes Shauna the note from the previous episode,
Oh,
and she comes back and says Jackie
ed.
likes poppies in the sex ed class. Yeah. And it was like, what does that mean? And it's like, because the point was she wanted to like imply that's what the note was about.
Right.
To cover up the fact that they have a secret relationship, because like there was like a whisper like, why is Jeff passing Shauna a note?
Yeah. Thank you for that. I as soon as that information was transmitted to me, I was like, oh, right. That's a nice tidy explanation, but I didn't think of it myself. It was just bewildering. I felt a little bit like you, Justin.
Indeed, yeah, it was like the most obvious answer that I never thought of for some reason. So anyway, I just wanted to personally thank you for pointing that out. And Claude and Justin Patreon, this is posted there. I know that technically neither one of us is Claude, but I'm gonna call it the Claude and Justin Cinematic Universe.
I have been carrying around Claude's mummified corpse, imagining that it's Claude.
Yikes! Oh my god.
That's not true.
Oh my god.
That's not true. We ate him.
Yikes. That's even better.
You can joke about cannibalism on a show about.
Oh, I agree. The jokes are fully allowed. Yes. So anyway, you can check that out if you want, to support the podcast, but also it's free, so do what you want. Um, all right.
Live your best life.
So shall we?
Yeah, let's get on in there.
At Jacket Jockeys on Twitter, give us a follow, and also all the
Rate,
other
review,
stuff.
subscribe.
Yeah, give us a review, and I haven't looked out to see if there's any new reviews, but give us a review.
Don't read that stuff. It just gets in your head,
No, I have to.
No, you got to just make your art without listening.
I almost never do it, so I just feel like I should do it once every 10 episodes or so. Anyway. All right,
Well, so you got 2 more episodes to go.
we can move on.
Yeah. What how about our check-in?
So
Can I get a drum roll?
this is, yeah, I mean, those of you who have been
Ah,
following the check-in this whole season know that it had become a kind of a hopeless repetition week after week
I
of
I didn't lose hope.
not bringing up my two favorite subjects, namely the postcards and Jessica Roberts. To the point where it was like, well, it's either coming in like the next episode or two, or it's they're just not gonna bother with it. Little did I know that this episode would be an exposition-a-thon. Oh my god. Let's go to
Yeah.
the sharing shack and like just clear out all of the secrets so that everyone's on the same page finally.
But I think we did talk about this in the podcast with the last episode that, and one, I think you were kind of disappointed because the whole group had come together at Lottie's camp and you just thought that was the moment
Yeah.
for it to happen. But and it sort of was, it's just not quite. We need to wait just a little bit longer.
Yeah, yeah. They sort
Mhm.
of conjured a scenario where they all start sharing things. And
Well,
so,
the catalyst is, the look on Shauna's face when she comes back from receiving that phone call from Jeff.
right.
Which it would be hard to conceal your emotions there. I think Shauna is probably pretty good at presenting the front that she wants to be seen. But yeah, it's pretty shocking information to find out that the body that you cut up of the former lover who you killed has been discovered
Indeed,
by the
indeed.
popo. And how did they find it exactly? That's what I want to know. I guess we'll just never know. I guess it's just gonna remain a mystery. There shan't be any further development of that story. No, I mean I think they maybe don't want to tell us any more about the police investigation because we're not watching Law and Order, you know. But
Law
I
and Order,
do.
wherever in New Jersey.
There is just this line
The
about
boring Law and Order. No, it's actually a pretty good case, honestly.
it's an excellent
If this showed
case.
up on Law and Order, it would be like, oh, this is a good one. Who expected this?
Yeah, I don't think they'd have like a Misty type in the launch
If they did,
version.
that's what I'm saying. It would be a great. It would be like, wow, that was a lot of good characters to throw away in one episode. But okay,
Oh right, just like yeah. Hey, it's Law and Order. They can do whatever they want.
it's like, yeah, it's this group that used to be on a soccer team, and they all conspired to dispose of the body. And
I actually feel like you're describing an episode that probably did happen on one of the mini Laws and Order.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying,
I
like,
guess it would be Criminal Intent. I guess that's the one it would be.
maybe that's the takeaway from this. Like, maybe every Law and Order episode is a great TV show waiting to happen.
Oh my God, you want to make millions of dollars?
I do.
Me too. Let's do it. All right, well, okay. Bye everybody. Ciao, ciao,
Later.
ciao. What was it?
Buzz,
Ciao,
buzz,
ciao,
buzz. What did you say? Chomp, chomp,
I
chomp.
said ciao, ciao, ciao,
Oh,
and then
chomp,
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 chomp, chomp,
chomp.
and then I
Okay.
finally landed on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like so many yellow jackets on so many bits of rotten fruit.
Oh.
So yes, jumping back to where we were. So the check-in.
Everything was mentioned, and I kind of want to. I don't know. Should I talk about it now? I kind of feel like I should wait until it comes up
As you
to
like.
say what I want to say about it, but let's just say both of the things are addressed directly in this episode. So I think we got what answers there are to get about those things, and of course it wasn't too much, but I do want to talk about it a little more later. But hey, uh, I was. It's like it's like an itch that you can't scratch, and it's like once it's over, maybe you're like, was that really worth all the anguish? But nonetheless, you're glad not to have the itch anymore. At least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would push back on that slightly because if you have a really good back scratcher that can get to that spot and you do scratch it, it feels so fucking good. That's the best feeling in the world. So I guess maybe it doesn't, maybe that's not the case for you. But I guess I'm not really pushing back on your evaluation of the episode so much as your relationship to the feeling of finally scratching an itch.
Right, right.
It's just so good. Now I want to get my back scratcher. Okay, hang on, guys. I gotta go get my back scratcher. No, so
Got back scratch fever.
back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So should we just dive into that? This was
Yeah,
such an intense episode.
let's dive in. Yeah, no, it's fairly momentous. Definitely has pre-finale vibes. That's what's going on in this episode. We're setting up for some high drama. I mean, there's high drama in this episode. Let's be honest.
I don't know how much time has elapsed since the previous episode in the wilderness because Shauna's character seems a little different here.
It
But
can't have been that long because Lottie's recovering. I mean,
she
I feel
is
like
not recovering.
it,
She has a I think they're telling us that she's developed a kidney infection because of the beating that she
is that what
received.
that meant?
Well, that
Which part? What, you talking about the
the
throat shot?
urine.
Oh, the urine
Well,
with
the throat.
blood.
Yeah, I think the throat shot. It's like she's sweating even though it's cold.
That was the point. I did
Yeah.
not understand the throat shot. Anyway, I
Yeah,
have
so
a
she-
different thought about it, but
uh well, I think that there's a few shots where they show her trying to peel off her coat like she's but it's very we know it's very very cold in the place, so she's got chills, and so it may not be an infection, but she's having some pretty serious health reaction. Who knew that there would be adverse health effects from getting the shit kicked out of you for a sustained duration of time when you're already starving and malnourished, etc.
yeah. Well, no, actually, oh no, never mind. Yeah, so I feel like it can't. It can't have been more than a day or two
Yeah,
since.
I guess it's just that Shauna seems quite different because having gone through this catharsis of beating the shit out of Lottie.
Very literal catharsis in this case.
Indeed, yes.
Not her own catharsis, but rather catharsis via proxy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really high-minded phrase you just said. Um yes, blood was let.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
And more blood was almost let. But
Indeed.
anyway.
Indeed. Um uh uh yeah, yeah. So we open up on previously on the way they cut it together. Like, let's say, part of the purpose of previously on is like if you just happen to just tune in, maybe this will let you follow the episode, right? I mean, that's at least
just tune into this show.
I mean, it would be weird, but I feel like it is partially to remind viewers who did see it, but I feel like the original, purpose of that thing was to make it so that it was self-contained. So like, here's the essential things you need to know to understand this episode.
Yeah, so
And like,
every previously on is like previously on what is it? Showtime's Yellowjackets. Oh my God, we're going to nationals. Oh shit, the plane is going down. Oh my God, no one's coming to save us. Oh look, the snow made her a beautiful rotisserie.
yeah, obviously they cut certain things that like it's not like, but it's enough to follow sort of the bare threads of the plot of this episode specifically, I guess I should say. Like as an example of that, when they show Shauna putting the necklace on Natalie later, they cut to Jackie with the necklace just to remind you, because it's like, but people watching the show, I mean, obsessives like us,
Yeah.
we know what the fucking necklace
Right,
is,
we know that
right?
fucking
But it's like,
necklace.
it seems clear that like they're playing to an audience that's like either more casual or maybe didn't see that part, and it's like, oh, okay. Like they even mentioned Jackie in a different part of the episode,
You've been following that necklace since the pilot.
It's yeah. I mean, it's in that first scene with Pit
Yeah.
Girl, and obviously this episode is the closest we've ever gotten to a Pit Girl episode. I think from this we can actually kind of infer what was going on.
Yeah. I think they told us
pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Um,
And the running
there's
idea.
a couple questions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll wait.
About actually how that plays out, but nonetheless, it still seems like there's a straight line from what happens in this episode to that. So that was a huge. Anyway, sorry. Back to my original point. I've wandered from it completely. The previously on cuts together scenes with Lottie being creepy with the baby to them eating the baby, implying that actually, and then Shauna beating up Lottie, implying that actually happened. That like Lottie's plan was to eat the baby, they ate the baby, and then Shauna beat her up for it.
Yeah,
That's what it
yeah.
implied, and
It's
like.
classic. I think Lost did that too. Who makes the previously on?
Yeah, I don't actually know who makes the previously
Like
ons.
that's not, and something Lost would do that's very similar to this, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's kind of the same thing, is that they would put in like dream sequence
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
or and it's like that, but that's not actually what
Yeah,
happened.
they show the baby being born alive,
They show
which
the baby
also was part of the
right, which
dream.
didn't happen.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's a
It's
shame
almost
though.
like they want it to be true that they ate the baby, but they didn't quite have it in them to make that the truth. So it's like they're playing it. It sort of crystallized beating up Lottie for me and like tying that together with the plot because it was like, oh, if you just pretend like they really did it, then it sort of makes sense, you know?
Yeah,
Like there's a clearer logic to that plot line than there was the other way where it's like, because
yeah,
she's even saying, you ate my baby, you all ate my baby,
I know. Yeah,
like.
I'll say one thing. It not about eating a miscarried fetus, but placentas all around the world, people, including in this
Placentae?
country,
Sorry, go
people
ahead.
eat, typically the mother eat placenta. I feel like the show probably thought about,
Eating the placenta.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not something that I relish the thought of, but it is done. It is common in a lot of cultures. And they're starving to death.
Yeah.
I think they should have eaten the placenta.
At the very least. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Better than
it's
eating a mouse carcass.
it's interesting, the show definitely like, crosses a lot of lines, but it does seem like that was a line they weren't willing to cross. And, that's okay with like I didn't need to see that, but I do think there is a yeah, especially with the placenta, like there's simple logic to like they're putting a belt in soup in this episode,
Yeah.
and it's like that's some real protein right there.
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, it should be like super
Not just
nutritious.
from a belt.
Um,
And yeah, they could have. I mean, it's not. It's probably not enough to like feed them for too long. But if they're starving, I mean, they each take a chunk of it. Like that would definitely be significant. So yeah, I
blah.
totally agree. They should have eaten the placenta. The fact that it didn't even come up is kind of absurd. And I almost feel like the previous on makes me think it's almost canon that they ate the baby.
It's not. No, don't say that.
It feels that way from the previously on and the way they played the Shauna Lottie plot. Like it feels like that's what they wanted to be true.
No,
And they just
it
didn't quite
wasn't.
have the courage to make it true. But then retroactively, once they didn't do it, now they're like, yeah, no, we did that. We totally did.
I feel like they just don't want us to think about that anymore. They have that really, I think, affecting scene later in the episode where Jeff tells Callie
Yeah.
about the baby.
Yeah.
Um,
We finally find out that he does know about it,
I
presumably from the journals.
feel now like we're never gonna hear another word about the baby. Yeah, I was wondering about that, because they didn't tell us if he only knows from the journals or if he and Shauna have talked about it.
Yeah.
Um, Shauna seems like she's keeping some secrets. just to just to make an understatement.
You could have called this episode Secrets.
Secrets and lies.
And lies. And always lies. So many lies.
Yeah. So
Okay, so anyway, whatever. I just wanted to say that because I thought it was a little questionable decision on the part of whoever did the previous one. I mean, yeah, actually the lost example that I always bring up that like bugs me is the one where they play the clip of Locke saying like, we're not, they attacked us, they sabotaged us,
yeah.
them, and we're not the only ones in this island and we all know it. Like it's like they
Right.
play that like not acknowledging that that was manipulation he wasn't saying that genuinely. He was deflecting from the fact that Walt burned the raft.
Walt?
Yeah, Walt burned the
Oh
fucking
my,
raft.
what?
Go watch Lost if you haven't watched it. Sorry for the spoiler.
You don't need to watch it because we tell you everything.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever. If you have seriously, if any of you jacket jockeyers have not seen Lost, and it's actually possible that there's some of you because the numbers are kind of growing. It's beyond the Patreon people. So if any of you haven't seen Lost, I'm just gonna go ahead and recommend it. I think if you like this show, you'll like it. It's obviously a lot less harsh, but it has a lot of similar themes and structure and all sorts of stuff. I think you'll see echoes of many elements that you might have enjoyed about this show. Anyway, that's an obvious thing to say for anyone who's ever heard us before all this, but I feel like there might be some of you who are new. So anyway,
I think you need to put a disclaimer on the pot jacket jockeys to, that that it contains spoilers not just for jacket jockeys but for Lost.
yeah.
Because yeah, you should.
And another show
Yeah,
or
so
two.
if you're gonna go and watch it, you should probably wait until you've forgotten everything that we have incidentally said about the show.
Yeah, you've probably already noticed.
Wait like 6 months and then start watching it.
Yeah.
So you can just be like, oh, the raft. I feel like Jacket Jockey said something about who burned this raft.
Yeah, so I mean, look, like television is, it exists within, a realm of conversation. I feel like shows are related to each other, and to me, it's not fun to talk about shows and then like be unable to talk about other ones because you might spoil. So anyway, that's just consider that sort of a blanket thing, like I'll try to do a warning if I'm gonna give a big ass spoiler. I don't think that one's a huge spoiler, honestly. Um, but I want to feel free to bring up certain things because it happens that it seems relevant. So, um,
Indeed.
anyway, all right, you ready to start with this actual episode?
Sure.
That's the preamble. So we start out at the cabin. Lottie is being supported by Mari and Misty while she pees. There's blood in it. They lie her down. Mari complains about the pee smell. Misty defends Lottie and tells Mari to empty the pee bowl. Mari climbs down the ladder and drops the pee bowl and then cries. Meanwhile, Misty dabs at Lottie's forehead while Lottie has some visions. I'm not really sure what they were. There's a few shots in this episode of like quick flashes where like I did my best and I was unable to catch what it was.
Well, you didn't do the internet's best because the internet's best is to freeze frame that shit.
Well, I'm sure
So
the internet has it. I'm just letting you know,
So
like, if you want freeze frame analysis, you
look
come to the wrong
elsewhere.
place.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm generally of the opinion that stuff like that, if it's too quick to actually see it while it's playing, then I don't think you're actually meant to fully process what it is. But so I'm not really
But your
worried about it.
subconscious knows. So you just need to go to a hypnotist. Yeah, so a couple things about this scene. Um Mari is so yeah, so this is the start of this whole theme of in her state, in her diminished health state, she's kind of tuning into the wilderness and the sort of behavior and actions of the others, like her sickness having an effect on them, but also, we'll see later that she seems to know on some level what's happening when they're out chasing their next meal.
Yeah, they cut to her in a few opportune moments, but she doesn't actually say anything in the entire episode. The younger version, it is still ambiguous, like exactly what she's thinking about these things. It's not clear
Yeah.
to me. But I agree that like the editing implies, that there's some connection between her and what's happening.
Doesn't she mutter something and then Misty responds.
Oh, did she mutter
At some
something?
point, I don't know if it's in this scene, but
Okay.
she says something, and then Misty's like, Lottie, can you hear me? Um,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah, maybe I
a
talked
couple
about
other
that later.
things about this scene that I wanted to say. So one is Misty calls Mari a brat, which we
Oh
were
yeah.
all thinking. Thank you, Misty. Because yeah, Mari is being a brat.
Yeah,
That's her thing this season. But
definitely.
she seems just genuinely, her reaction to dropping the urine, like, you see this is just really hard for her
Yeah.
to see
She was
Lottie.
all in with Lottie,
She was all
so
in, and she's investing a lot in her belief about Lottie's power and the
yeah,
wilderness and all of this, and she's
yeah,
kind of watching it all fall apart.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I also think that this shot, the audience, the diehard audience has been looking for Mari to die for a long time. I feel like because she didn't make it out.
Right, clearly.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, I f- I feel like this episode is doing some hardcore misdirection about who's gonna die, and
Oh, so very
the
much.
really, yeah. And I thought, I don't know about you, but I was like, okay, this is the one where Mari's gonna die.
I thought this was going to be the one where Ben died,
Yeah.
and we were both wrong.
I didn't think that this one would be Ben's episode because since he only recently succeeded in not dying.
Well, see, that's what I thought they'd pull a double switch. That he just decided not to kill himself, only to then either die or be killed. I wasn't really sure where it was
Well,
going to go.
they had to contrive an opportunity for him to not be around for this.
Well, see, and then like Javi and Natalie are heading there where he is, and so I really thought like this is going to end with them killing Coach Ben. I was so sure. It's
Well,
not what happened.
yeah, that's
Obviously.
one of the, there's a whole sequence of things that they want us to think. I mean, obviously, we know Nat isn't gonna get killed.
Indeed, yeah,
But anyhow,
yeah,
I'm jumping ahead, way ahead.
yeah.
What did you want to say about this scene?
Uh, yeah. I mean, okay, so
Back to the attic. We haven't seen the attic in a while.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's where Lottie is for this whole episode in the past, obviously. And yeah, uh it's you know it was pretty severe what happened in the previous episode. So, there's going to be some kind of like recovery period. It is interesting to me that, what happens in this episode happens without Lottie's direct involvement. Considering the fact that, it seemed like she was the primary ringleader, she's presumed to be the antler queen, and in the present she's the one encouraging this thing, so it's sort of, I don't know, it's just if you had me predict what the first sort of sacrifice would look like, this isn't what I would have expected. I'm surprised that it happens with Lottie just basically like passed out on the ground for the whole episode almost.
Yeah, this was horrible.
um but yeah, I mean, it's realistic because like the way they showed, if they try to pull a van on us and like she's fine this week, it would have been a bit much, because it was like what they showed with Shauna last week was like pretty harsh. So I think it makes sense, but I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm really curious where, like, what the fallout's going to be like, because it's a for she survives, right? There's zero chance that she doesn't survive. I mean, that's the flash forward element of these flashbacks that you can't get around.
Yeah,
It's
they're not
like,
gonna pull a nugget with one of the Yellowjackets.
yeah, like for a fact that that she's gonna survive. So I think, to me, the big question is like, what is her takeaway, or what's the lesson, or what is she gonna wake up with? I don't know. They just gonna feed her some coffee, and then I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. But the other thing I wanted to say related to what you were saying is I feel, and I can't be too certain of this, because the show has shown in numerous examples this season alone that just because it's a logical time to bring up something and they don't, doesn't mean that they won't just like put it off until later, right? So I can't be too sure, but I'm very tempted after this episode to say that the Yellow Jackets who are reunited at Lottie's camp are the only ones who survived. I feel like if there's another one of them out there and none of them mentioned it, I'm gonna be annoyed.
Yeah,
Right? If they go through this whole thing, right, and like no one says, but
it would
Lottie,
be,
blah 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 is not here. I don't know
yeah,
whoever else might have survived.
it would be a definite contrivance, but TV does what TV does. If they decide that they want to do that, they're going to give us some reason, and we're going to hate it, but
Yeah.
you know
Well, that's what I'm
because it's
saying.
fiction. No, but I know what you mean.
That's what I'm
It's
saying. I'll be mad if they do it. It's not out of the question, but
Just
I
like
feel
this
like
thought of like, oh my God, what if Coach Ben just hides in this under tree cave
he's like
forever?
doing a Rip Van Winkle down there. He's like still there. His beard's like 10 feet long, and
Yeah,
he's just like eating bones and
yeah. Suck the marrow out of them bones. Um, yeah. Ugh. I mean, is Travis really gonna eat Javi? This is
yeah,
so bad.
it's I mean,
It's so
I
bad.
definitely feel like they didn't say this before, but I feel like it was implicit in the way Travis's story went that Javi shouldn't be alive. I
Indeed,
mean,
yeah.
that I had assumed that already,
Yeah.
but I feel like the specific circumstances of um what happened with Javi is probably, I mean, not that there's like not already enough wedges between Travis and Natalie, but I feel like this one is probably the worst one so far. That she basically like lets him die so that she won't have to.
Yeah, as he's like trying to lead her to safety.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
yeah.
really bad.
Like I don't know
This
how
will really
much of
fuck a
it
person
he's
up.
gonna find out about, because in a way it's gonna be up to her or the others to tell him. I mean, in
Yeah.
a way it was like Misty who like really was the instigator there, but
I mean, she's pragmatic.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
That's a theme in this
It is
episode,
very
is like
much a theme.
draws things
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, this what happens with Javi in this episode, it kind of I think is it's the template for the pit. Because you see,
yeah,
how hard it is to, and this is why, there were firing squads back in the day, so there's no one
yeah,
person who definitely was the executioner,
yeah, yeah,
seeing that it's easier for this to be a sort of group, and it's also more, well, I don't know, maybe it's not more ritualistic, it's just a different kind of a ritual, but um yeah, so that scene is really hard to watch.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it
um
turns it more into like a hunt thing,
yeah.
which the Doom coming sort of foreshadowed as
Definitely,
well.
definitely Doom coming. Yeah, line from here to Doom coming to pit. This
Yeah.
was that anchor from in that, in that line, to mix a metaphor. Um
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's I think it's funny. We were like talking about the episode in general, and then it's like, let's talk about the first scene, and then we start talking and immediately.
Yeah, I know.
Um
It just kind of well,
but it's all this stuff is leading up to these climaxes.
indeed,
So
indeed. Yeah, yeah. So it built off stuff from this scene, but yeah, anyway, that we'll say more about those other things later, of course. Are you ready to
yeah.
continue here? Okay, so Akila enters the cabin and talks to Nugget for the last time about what they'll do later
Oh
once they
my
get
god. Oh
rescued.
my god. Nugget and Aquila on the beach.
You know what I sort of realize like this is it's almost like this is foreshadowing Javi or paralleling Javi or something. There's like or maybe it's just this is a TV trick that they always do, but like before they have some reveal they have these scenes that make you care about something. And they do that with Javi in this episode, and they do it with Nugget here. Like there's this like sad scene where she's like, "We'll go to the, beach and we'll have funnel cakes," and it's like anyway.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Ty comes over and makes Aquila show her what's in her hand, and Ty says that the mouse is dead, and we see that it is, and Aquila seems surprised, and that's our reveal about what happened with Nugget. So I guess,
Yeah, so I was wrong. Nugget was not sacrificed, which in hindsight makes sense
yeah,
because
it would have been a bit ridiculous.
sad sacrifice. But yeah, they can't see you, but he's pretending to slit the throat of a mouse. Um yeah,
Fingers only.
I don't know. I feel so sad for Aquila. I mean Ty, there's no Ty, child Ty, adult Ty, the good one, the bad one, who's not gonna point out that this is a delusion.
Yeah,
But it is really sad to those of us who've been watching how happy Nugget makes Aquila.
yeah,
But Nugget is like her, Ben's disassociative
yeah,
hallucinations,
yeah. Like her happy hiding
Yeah.
place or something.
Yeah. So this is a
Yeah.
really sad thing.
Yeah, and I really feel like, I mean, probably it just has to do with the fact that Aquila in season one, didn't really get that much screen time. Like she was barely, sort of registered. I mean, she registered that she's a character, just like Mari actually. They're sort of similar in a way that now season two they're getting more stuff, and I feel like her character is, yeah, it's basically the opposite of Mari. She's a lot more sympathetic. She's playing it like you feel really sorry for her, that she's, you know, like A, so delusional that she picks up a dead mouse and thinks it's alive, and B, that therefore she actually has to go through the realization that her mouse friend is not really there.
Yeah.
And even think about eating it later, which is a horrifying scene that we'll talk about. But this has been a building thing for this whole season. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think we speculated that it was in her head, but I think the sort of next step, that that there was a mouse corpse
Yeah.
that she was carrying around, was the thing that I didn't really ever even think about. But that makes sense, right? In the pantry, there's a mouse corpse. Like
Right.
that's very logical, and that she would pick it up, and then that's why it's so friendly and it's hanging out in her pocket
Right.
with no
Right.
complaints. And
He's not Snow White.
yeah, exactly. Okay, are you all right? So we go to Lottie's camp. We pick up from the previous episode. The others come in from the revelry they were having. Lightning crashes,
Running through their heads.
Um, yes, indeed. But Shauna has a frowny face. They say it in the scene, all right? That's not my words. Why do you have a frowny face?
Why do you have a frowny face?
Shauna tells them about the police finding Adam Martin's body. So here's where the secrets and the lies sort of come to a head, because like
Right.
what the various characters know in terms of the truth is like quite varied in this scene.
Yes.
We have two levels. We have the ones who helped dispose of the body, who were told he was the blackmailer, which is Ty, Natalie, and Misty. And then obviously Shauna knows the truth. And then we have Van and Lottie, who don't know anything
Right.
at all. They're like, "Who's Adam? Like, what are you talking about?" So anyway, part of the point of this episode is to get them all
Yeah,
on the same page.
Lottie's gonna be like, "You married Jeff?" It's like, "Oh, Lottie, we've got a Lottie."
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. She didn't even get time to react to that.
Like they thought that she was still in an institution.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point. That's a very good point. Okay, so Van doesn't know who that is. Shauna wants to leave because of the situation. Nat wants her to stay. Misty questions Nat, and we learn that she buried the body. This it's a little incidental reveal. So the body they found. Van questions Ty about Adam, and she knows Ty is lying. Ty stonewalls. There's a lot of stonewalling in this episode. Um, especially Ty in particular. Anyway, Van grabs Shauna's keys and throws them far away
Classic.
in the dark. So there's no chance they're going to be able to easily find them, and therefore Shauna's stuck there, and then confronts the others about what's going on. Lottie also joins in on the questioning because she also has no idea what's going on. The others suspect that Jeff maybe knew something about it. Adam Martin. Shauna admits it at this point. Yes, he did know about Adam Martin, that I killed him, basically. Um, the others are shocked for various reasons. Some acolytes pass by, and so Lottie suggests that they take it to the sharing shack.
Take it to the sharing
And
shack.
that is where we will be for the remainder of the episode. So they all go to the sharing shack. It's so funny. It's like, yeah, you could call it the let's trade exposition shack.
For sure, I love it. The if only in any show we could send groups of characters to the sharing.
Oh man, if Lost had a sharing shack, it could have been a game changer.
Jacob's Cabin could have been used as a sharing shack.
That's a good point, actually.
So yeah, the scene.
There's a cabin. Anyway,
So they had go watch it. Pause this. Stop what you're doing. Go watch
that was the like majority of the characters who never knew anything about Jacob's cabin.
Oh, that wasn't the
No.
wasn't the jacket.
It was the Lotties and the Vans of the group, you know.
Yeah.
Like Sun and Jin never knew about Jacob's cabin, for example.
Wow. Maybe they had their own
Jack, I don't think Jack ever knew about it.
Really?
No, he was never there.
These people had their own Nikki and Paolo episodes where they found out about the cabin, but it was just we didn't
Off screen, yeah.
we didn't watch everybody all the time.
It's possible.
Okay,
it's
so
possible.
This scene.
I think Sawyer didn't know about it. Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry, this doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a subject of a different podcast. People let's slow down.
Yes.
So the unity that we closed out last episode with was short-lived.
Very short-lived. Very short-lived. But they reacquire it in this episode, I think. By the end, they're all very unified.
Well, yeah.
But they're in the same room.
Lottie has once again pulled them together. Yeah, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, this is the implications. This scene and the subsequent scenes that pick up on this drove home some aspects of the discovery of the body that I hadn't really thought about.
Me too. Yeah, the detail, because they didn't show us like everything.
Mm-hmm.
They showed us like cutting up the body in the thing, cleaning up the apartment. They showed Misty taking the head and the hands and putting them in the coffin that gets incinerated,
Uh-huh.
So we knew what happened to that stuff, but we didn't see what actually happened to the body parts.
I couldn't remember what they told in the scene where it was like, okay, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. I couldn't remember what all they had said.
Yeah, maybe they did say, Natalie, you're gonna bury the body, and I just forgot, but I just don't remember that.
I kind of think that they did.
Yeah, they might have.
But at any rate, for instance, it didn't occur to me that it would immediately throw up a red flag to Tyson, Nat, and Misty. I forget which one of them mentioned it. That, well, wait a second. How did Jeff know to call you about this?
Yeah.
Like I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where like the levels of information really come into play, because as the audience, like, why he's calling. We've known that Jeff knew since season 1. Like, that's all news, so yeah, like the fact that that's actually a clue that will sort of open up the can of worms that everyone gets to drink from. I don't know if that analogy works.
Drinking a can of worms.
I don't know.
Fish from.
What do you
right?
fish? Okay, fish from.
I would assume cans of worms are for fishing.
Okay. Oh, was that what they're for?
I mean, I don't know, or putting in your garden to enrich the soil.
Okay. I never really thought about why you would have a can of worms.
Me neither.
But yeah, that is.
I mean, if you're starving in the wilderness, you're definitely making some soup out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, is it like if you're fishing, then opening a can of worms is like a commitment to a long, like is
Yeah,
that
that makes
somehow where
sense.
the
That makes sense.
analogy comes from?
Let us know.
Let us know, please. Do jacketjockeys@gmail.com. We want to know your thoughts. Or you can Twitter us. Okay. So yeah, I mean this the present day Lottie's camp stuff is basically just one big scene that is cut up over the episodes. So like I mean I'll share stuff along the way, but to me this is really an A to B thing, and it's sort of we I feel like we need to get a little deeper into this before I can really unload what I want to say about all this business. Okay, so we go back to the cabin. Van looks at Ty having a moment, washing some dishes. She sees the bad one in the window, and then right behind her, where Van is actually standing, she says she's lightheaded. Van gives Mari a belt of Jackie's to put in the soup. She does. Shauna takes a blanket that's not being used for Lottie and again seems annoyed about it. I don't know why. I guess because she beat up Lottie. I guess that's the point. Um, Melissa is surprised that Shauna cares about Lottie, and Van says, quote, Lottie took it from her to protect us. Um, that was her line. I don't understand that line. I'll come back to it in a second. Shauna takes the blanket. Um, Nat and Ben talk about Lottie dying. Uh, Nat says Lottie has changed people. She also mentions that Javi was bowing to a symbol tree. And Ben asks about it and seems curious. And then he goes to look in Javi's suitcase while he's sleeping. This is a heavy sleeping?
Yeah, this kid can sleep through
Oh
anything.
my god! There's so many shots where he's just sleeping his ass off while like Ben's doing all sorts of shit around him. Anyway, with fucking crutches. Anyway, okay, fine. Javi's suitcase, and he finds a drawing of a tree, and we see Javi sleeping there, as I mentioned. Okay, so like this line that Vance is, I swear I don't understand it. It seems like she's implying that like Shauna would have like attacked them all if Lottie didn't take it. And it's like, what you, you can stop. Like, there's plenty of you to stop Shauna. You know what I mean? Like I don't think you needed Lottie to be beat up to protect yourselves. Each,
I
they subdue Travis in this episode, and it's only like five of them. Like they could easily subdue Shauna if they wanted to. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, I interpreted it more like less physical and more of a, if Shauna hadn't been able to let out all that pent up aggression, it would have just continued to it would have destroyed the group in some way.
Okay.
Uh I do think that Van, like Mari, and like Lottie, puts too much weight on what Lottie does. And so I think that this is also kind of an example of her
Yes.
kind of overestimating the significance of Lottie's thoughts and actions.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I want to bring that up. There's another Van Lottie thing later in the past. And I don't know, I felt a little disoriented because there was a scene in the last episode with Van and Ty where she's like, well, first I thought it meant something, but now I don't really feel like it means anything. And it just feels like they just kind of cut back to where she was before that. And like, there's no acknowledgement that there was this thing where she was like, I'm losing my faith. I don't really believe there's anything important here. We're just like desperate. And, I don't know. It made
Yeah,
that scene like kind of seem like pointless. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I agree. I guess if I'm being generous to the writing, I would say that witnessing self-sacrifice is a powerful thing. So,
Oh, you think it restored some of her faith to see Lottie like offer herself like this?
yeah.
Okay, okay, I could
I
buy
mean, it's a
that. I
thought.
could buy that. I feel like there could have been a line or two to like draw that for
Yeah.
us, but I think that does make sense. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll allow it, as they say. So yeah, we have set up for Ben's plot in this episode clearly. Um and
And they
yeah.
pick back up on Javi's drawing, which was something that they had
Oh yeah.
done in season one, established that.
That's right. That's right. Um okay, so are you ready to
I wanted to look through every one of those drawings and go and see what I could glean from
Yeah,
them.
there was a weird one on top. It looked
Yes, with a
almost looked like it was
bird.
an owl, or yeah, it was like it was almost like a Twin Peaks thing.
I
Like
was
this.
like, that bird is your friend, and I want to know about this bird. But yeah, I especially want to look through those drawings now that I know that he's dead now.
Yeah,
So we don't get a chance to hear from him any further
yeah.
information directly from him about what
The one line we
happens.
get is what he says to Ben, and yeah, like so, yeah, we will never get to hear him elaborate. I'm hoping that whatever Ben goes through will allow us to understand. That would be my guess. Since he's clearly in that place where Javi was hiding out, like that's
Yeah.
clearly the implication. That's how he didn't freeze to death.
Yeah, we're gonna see there's gonna be a bird up there.
There's gonna be a bird up there.
Coach Ben, don't go back to them.
Don't
They'll
do
kill
it.
you. They'll eat you. You have to stay here.
I am a she-bird, by the way.
Oh, right. Oh, right. My friend who's a lady and a bird.
Yeah, because like he specifically referred to it as a she, like that said
Yeah.
he wasn't supposed to come back or
Yeah,
something.
you're right. You're
So
right.
like
You're right.
there's definitely some missing pieces here. And it is frustrating. It is frustrating. It's like it's like can I bring up another thing from Lost? It's like there's this thing in season one where spoiler alert, turn it off, give me like 30, okay? There's this thing in season one where Boone goes on this thing with Locke. He goes up into the plane and like the plane falls off a cliff and he ends up dying. But like on that trek before that happened, like he finds out that Locke used to be in a wheelchair, right? No one else knows that at
Right,
that
right,
point.
right.
So it's like he gets to find out the secret, which is almost a clue that he's about to die,
Yeah, it's a
and
classic TV move.
not get to share it. So anyway, it sort of reminds me of that. Like he gets this like intriguing thing that then sort of but yeah, luckily we do get sort of the torch pass, and luckily Ben is the one who actually heard the line, so he's actually in a position to know the most
Right.
about whatever went on with Javi down there. So I still have hope that we will be led to understand what happened, even though he's not around. But I agree that it's kind of disappointing in a way that he doesn't get to say more about it,
Yeah.
because it was very interesting, and it's clear from this episode and that scene that like he can absolutely talk if he wants to.
Yeah.
He's choosing not to say anything
Yeah.
most of the time, and exactly why is not 100% clear, but
Yeah.
anyway, okay, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so Aquila holds Nugget and thinks about eating it but doesn't. Thank you. I was not ready for that.
I mean, that's really not the way to eat. The way to eat it would be to throw it in that pot with the
Yeah,
belt. But
yeah, but she's about to just take a bite like it's Jackie's ear.
man, throw that ear in some soup too.
I know. Mari takes the belt out of the soup and then suddenly hears the dripping. The dripping comes back. We have been on drip watch for several
We have been on Drip
episodes.
Watch, and I want to know what is the significance of the timing of the dripping sound.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I mean, it seems like it's implied it's got something to do with Lottie, but I really don't know what. Okay, I'm just gonna say what happens, and we'll
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
go from there. So, Ty says she hears it too, and she thinks it's coming from over there, just meaning the other side of the cabin from where they are. They sort of at the entrance side, the main like living room, I guess, and it's like the other opposite wall. It's actually over by where Javi's sleeping, where Ben is. He comes out briefly after this happens.
Yeah.
So could it have something to do with Javi? I feel like that might be the line they want us to draw.
Mm,
That
yeah.
it's like foreshadowing of what's going to happen to Javi. I don't know.
Although there
So
isn't actually any blood.
yeah, I agree. Well, there will be eventually, but anyway,
Yeah.
um, not in this episode. Other there, okay. So Mari looks over and she sees blood running down the wall, and she says, "They're dead. They are dead." Just to clarify. Um, I mean, she says they're dead, but it means they
Yeah,
are
yeah,
dead.
yeah.
Okay.
Not like THEIR.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, what are their dead doing here? Anyway,
Mhm.
um, and freaks out. Um, and she says, I just put quotes here because, like, I didn't understand. Their blood was dripping on the floor. You heard it. She's speaking to Ty here. And Van says, it's the hunger.
Yeah.
Very, very
Van doesn't,
simple
yeah, Van
explanation.
doesn't believe it's a hallucination. I mean,
Obligatory lost line.
uh-huh. Well, yeah. So,
Just like, oh, maybe something in the soil made the birds fly into the
yeah.
cabin, you know? It's like someone has to say the like simple reason why this is happening. So yeah, like this just confused the shit out of me. Like
Yeah.
number one, they're dead. Like, well, who? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Who's dead? Like, again, that doesn't seem like it means Javi because it's plural. You
Right.
know, so like, who is she? Is she saying like all the ones who will die? Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then this thing about their blood was dripping on the floor. You heard it. It's like it's weird because the vision is blood running down the walls. We don't even see it on the floor.
Well, I think what she says it was dripping on the floor. You heard it was about the drip. It was trying to justify what she saw by linking it up to the sound that Ty said she also heard.
Right.
But I know what you mean. It didn't like blood, like the walls were bleeding or something. So my
Yeah.
interpretation, I guess, was that this is something that is being transmitted to her from the guy who was in the cabin. Like that she's getting
Ah,
some kind of memory about some
Jacques.
Jacques, yeah, some plural number of people who were dead that he saw. Like, I don't know, you know, he's sort of like the shining kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Got it. Yeah, right, 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 right. Right. An echo of a thing
Yeah.
that happened in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I mean, the look of it was also kind of shining.
It also, I mean, at the time it felt like there might have been a connection between that and like Lottie's like peeing episode and the fact there was blood in the pee, you know? So it's like was it foreshadowing of what happened to Lottie? Like some kind of weird vision, like you know, leading to that, or at least like they want us to maybe think that there's a relationship, but it's clear that she doesn't think that because she's talking about this like theoretical group of people. And you know, there's symbols upstairs. Clearly, I mean, there was dead body upstairs. Like clearly something was going on up there in that attic. Something weird was going on up in that attic. And yeah, so maybe it is just some kind of echo. I don't know. Will we ever really learn what happened in that cabin? This is a question I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, theoretically, I feel like they have no way of knowing unless, like, you know, there's a loose floorboard, and it's like, oh my god, he left a diary. You know, like how
Yeah.
else would they ever know?
Classic.
You know, like it just seems, I don't know.
Classic.
I mean, you saw Cabin in the Woods, right? It's
I
like it'd be
did.
like that kind of thing, you know, like ooh, secret
Yeah.
artifacts, and then it gives them a vision of what happened, and it raises the dead and
Right,
stuff.
right. Well, or maybe Coach Ben is gonna crawl around and find that they're actually in some artificial built environment and they're being
Hey,
watched.
speaking of Cabin in the Woods, spoiler alert.
Oh my
Anyway, we're
god.
spoiling everything
So
today.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, are you ready
Yep.
for the next scene
Let's
here?
do it.
Okay, so we go to Shauna's house. Kevin and Matt show up to search the house. Jeff and Callie are there. Kevin wants to question Jeff. Matt searches Callie's room while Callie films him. They discuss Callie's attempted lie about their sleeping together. Matt doesn't think it matters because The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He says it slightly more elaborately than that. Um, Kevin talks to Jeff in the dining room. Jeff tells him that Shauna is at a spa with some girlfriends. Oh, it's funny. It's like not
It's so
entirely false,
close
and
to
yet
true.
it's like it feels like a lie, but it's hard to say why. Anyway, Kevin thinks he may be kicked out Shauna due to the affair. This is one of those. This is also for me. This was one of those examples of like, oh, I never would have interpreted it that way, but I see why you might think that
Yeah, it's like,
without
oh, Kevin, you
knowing.
just don't know Jeff.
Kevin is so like, yeah, he's so far out of the loop.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Matt comes in with some photos of the dismembered corpse of Adam. Jeff says that Shauna is no doctor and couldn't possibly have done that with a kitchen knife. Matt brings up her survival skills, and there's clearly a lot of planning involved. They even removed a tattoo with a cheese
With a
grater. It
cheese
is revealed
grater.
that they removed the tattoo with a
prompting
cheese.
prompting this week's this week's Yellowjackets writes a line that has never been written before, which comes up a bit later. Maybe I should
Indeed.
look up the
In
exact
the dream
line
sequence.
in
Yeah,
the
I didn't
dream
actually write it down.
sequence.
I vaguely remember what it was.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But yeah, it's pretty gruesome. They're gruesome photos.
indeed, yeah, yeah. Which, we did see some of that. We had some idea that, that's more or less what it would look like. I don't think they showed the cheese grating tattoo thing, but it does make sense that surely Misty was the one who said we have to cheese grate off his tattoo because it's an identifying mark.
Yeah,
Um,
skin grated off like a rind of
there
pecorino.
you go. There you go.
Yep.
Interestingly, that's a dream sequence, so that's actually Jeff's line.
That's Jeff's line.
He came up with that little phrase.
Jeff has just got such an internal Shauna.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They've been
He's
together
put
for
it in
so
her
long.
mouth, so
Yeah.
it's like this is like a thing she would say,
And it totally
which is
is.
true. Yeah, no, it's very convincing. I mean, if it weren't for all the context, like, yeah,
Yeah. No, it's obvious right off the bat.
yeah, it really is. Okay, sorry. Just to finish here, they removed a tattoo. They found out who it was from a bone marrow test. Apparently, he donated some bone marrow. What a generous, nice person old Adam was. He just wanted to have a little affair. Perhaps that was a transgression. Did he deserve all this? I think
I know they're really laying it on thick. And I mean, it's like that's the thing that Misty didn't account for, the bone
indeed,
marrow.
indeed.
Um,
Yeah, that was the slip. That
but
was the slip.
oh, Adam, he is really the dream guy.
I know. I don't know. Anyway, Jeff freaks out a bit and gets up. Kevin tries to talk him down, but he stonewalls. More
More
stonewalling.
stonewalling.
Everyone loves stonewalling in this episode. So glad I have the phrase stonewalling.
Stonewall,
Anyway, I thought it was notable in the scene with Callie and Matt that she doesn't say anything about his weird ass balls. Because, like,
He's like, Kevin didn't believe you because he's seen my
yeah,
balls
and
they're
they're
perfectly
very
average.
normal.
Yeah, that scene is, the two of them, you obviously are set up to hate Matt.
Yes, very
And
much
you
so.
do.
He's the smuggest smug
He's
that
so
ever
smug.
smugged.
He's so smug. And also, she's totally lying and manipulative. Like it's just
Yes,
so. But so
100%. Yeah.
so they're both just pretty unlikable.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But he's worse because he's a smug assed ass.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's hard not to
I bet his
sympathize
balls
more.
are weird.
I just thought it was notable that that non-workable line didn't come up. But anyway, the main theme of the episode, as far as Callie's concerned, is that she's like Shauna. So I feel like that's the kind of thing,
Yeah.
Shauna's manipulation. She's doing manipulation with the cops. So anyway, I feel like
Yeah.
that's the main point of that scene. Callie gets and uh, a sympathetic scene later.
Yes.
So
Yes.
um But yeah, I guess the other theme is Jeff like kind of freaking out. He was already freaking out, but I guess like seeing the dismembered body like
Yeah.
disturbs him like it would say a normal person who hadn't done cannibalism in the wilderness for
Yeah.
almost 2 years, you know? So
Right.
like I think that's the thing. Like it makes it like visceral, I guess.
Right.
And so then he kind of has this internal like freak out about like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what is she capable of? What's
Yeah.
she gonna do next?
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, this is the start of that. All right. So then we go to Lottie's camp. Everyone gathers at the sharing shack. Van has just learned about Adam Martin, the live version. Okay, just for the record, she's learned about the version where he was killed because he was the blackmailer.
Right.
Okay, the B mailer, if you
Female.
prefer.
Yeah.
Um, the others question Shauna about telling Jeff. Shauna asks about this gets so it was so hard to summarize this because it's like bit bop, this
Yeah.
thing, that thing, this thing, that thing. They go from topic to topic, like almost it's like there's a thin thread connecting some of these things. Anyway, Shauna asks about, well, what about you, Van and Ty? Why are you together? Let's talk about that now. And this leads to Misty mentioning outsourcing to get info about Van's location, which she already knew.
Yeah,
So
so I'm like, I'm so this scene. As soon as this scene really starts to hum, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be it. We're gonna
yeah,
get Jessica Roberts. They're
yeah,
gonna tell us finally.
yep, yep. Ty pretends not to understand. You might say she stonewalls. So Misty tells them all about Jessica Roberts, and then Ty admits it's like, why did you just admit? You know, Misty's just gonna tell. Like, why are you even trying? Anyway, whatever. Ty admits it. Shauna worries about Jessica Roberts going rogue, which leads Misty to admitting that she killed her. It's just like bam,
Took care
bam,
of it,
bam,
Justin.
bam,
Justin.
bam.
She took care of it.
I mean, that was the implication.
I did what needed to be done.
They all understood what she meant because they referred to it as murder later.
Yes.
So I think even though she does use a euphemism, I think they all knew what that meant. um yeah, so this is the beginning of our like exposition-a-thon of like finally getting the characters on the same page so they don't have like different versions of different lies that they believe about each other. Like they find, Ty's thing about Jessica Roberts was, a weird hanging thread from season one that like Misty found out because she kidnapped Jessica Roberts, but no one else knew.
Right.
And in this scene, of course, they all find out like right then. And not only they find that out, they find out Misty killed her. So like they're all caught up on season one as far as Jessica Roberts goes. It's an interesting detail here that Misty's like, oh yeah, I knew where Van was the whole time. Like I no big
Why didn't you
deal.
just ask me?
But my question was like, why didn't you know about Lottie then? It just feels like a contrivance. Like, why did you
Yeah.
know? It just seems like they
Well,
did have her say, like, how did I miss this or whatever. But it's like, yeah, how did you
yeah,
miss this?
yeah. Well, I love to harp on that.
Yeah,
That like why are they all so surprised?
yeah.
But anyway.
That's why I bring it up. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure from the way this episode handles things that Jessica Roberts is dead. I'm like
Yeah.
99% sure that that's the main point of all this, just to kind of do the cleanup. They all understand who she was and what was going on there. They know that she was dead, and they even know that Misty did it. You know, like I feel like that's
Yeah, yeah. I'll let the dream die that Jessica Roberts might still be alive.
yeah. I mean, if Ty is still hiding that she communicated with Jessica Roberts in some secret location earlier in the season, then
Mm.
that's gonna be weird because this was the sharing shack.
This would have been this would have been the time to be like, actually she's still alive.
Yeah. But then like
Because
Ty
she's a
would have known.
liability.
Ty would have known what happened with Misty, and she clearly didn't. So I feel like there's every indication that
Yeah.
unless it's like deeply, it's the bad one hiding it, it's some other, there's gonna have to be some weird explanation.
Yeah.
I just think it's pretty unlikely at this point.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So then we go to the cabin. Misty sees Ben using a knife to make his crutches more snow friendly. Misty is worried, but he reassures her. Travis has an odd moment looking at Nat and Javi as she gives him some fingerless gloves.
I think that like socks turned into gloves.
Oh, that was the point. That was the point. He didn't have gloves.
I assume.
So it was like, here's something you can use for
Yeah,
gloves.
I mean, they really shouldn't have gloves.
Yeah, that's, yeah, right. Because it was
Right.
like summer and they were going to Seattle. And
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that all adds up. Okay. See, I was confused. I'm like, why is this a scene? But okay. So Travis comes over, sits down, says she's a good person, and apologizes for making her feel otherwise. Uh,
So yeah, and so in the beginning of next episode, it's gonna be so Travis. You remember how you said that I was a good person?
yeah,
And how you felt really bad about how for a while you kind of thought that I wasn't, and you kind of made me feel that way. So what lesson did you learn from that? Okay, let's hold on to that lesson because I have some difficult news to deliver.
yeah. So yeah, this is like the show laying it on kind of thick. First, Nat gets like a touching scene with Javi where she like gives him something and it's like it's this like tender moment. And then Travis comes over and says, "You're a good person." And it's like, oh boy. When I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, okay. Now I understand what you're doing with this. I should have known. From now on, I just need to remind myself mentally if there's like a touching moment in the especially in the cabin era, be on the lookout for something horrible to happen to whoever those characters are.
Either you're already dead or you're about to die.
Yeah, because like I just didn't understand. I took this more on at face value when I watched it the first time, and I didn't really understand like, oh, they're setting this up for Javi to die and for like Natalie to be implicated in that. Like
Yeah.
it's like both things.
It's pretty horrible.
It's
You
really
know, we
horrible.
got these, fucking Melissa,
Yeah.
Jennifer, fucking Mari, like
Yeah. I think they wanted
like
us.
find Crystal's body and eat it.
Yeah, that's a hanging thread that we
Yeah,
still haven't
which
resolved.
which Misty is such a B word, not black word, not like B male. She's such a B word because she is
But
unwilling.
is she a
She's a
butt?
butt. She's unwilling to go. She's a high protein butt. She's unwilling to admit what happened with Crystal. And so she would sooner allow them to start killing
Yeah.
than say, listen, she died. I felt guilty. It's why I didn't tell you. Do you want to go with me to try to find her body
Yeah, yeah,
before
yeah.
we start murdering each other?
Yeah. And she was specifically going there to stop them from eating her. She was like, I'm not going to let them eat you, Crystal.
Yeah, she
So
needs to turn a corner on that.
it's crazy that she would be like, I'm going to put it on the line so that we don't eat Crystal, but I'm going to go along with this plan where, yeah,
But
I
you're gonna go
agree.
along with letting Javi
Yeah.
drown.
Yeah, yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. No, it's good. I didn't really think about it from that point of view. I tell you, I just had a thought that I didn't think of before, which is, could it be that that thing in the cave ate Crystal?
Ew.
Since there are a bunch of bones down there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that could be.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I like that
Since
theory.
we don't know what happened.
Although, if it's the kind of thing that would eat a human, I feel like I want to know why it didn't eat Javi. But
These are great questions, but I tell you, the first thing that came to mind, just because of Lost again, was that it was like some kind of bear, and there
yeah,
was that
there was a
weird
bear.
bear thing with
Yeah,
Lottie,
there was a bear.
It's like maybe Javi got like a weird hypnotized bear that like shared its food
Hypnotized
with him.
bear.
Hypnotized she bear that
A hypnotized she bear.
that,
That's probably it. It's probably gonna be a hypnotized she
that
bear.
shared its food with Javi.
Actually, I was watching National Geographic once, and there was a profile of they were going into the dens of hypnotized she bears, and it looked almost exactly like that. Uh, well, it could be some kind of scavenger animal, because a
Yeah.
scavenger animal would go for a dead human body, but wouldn't be likely to try to kill. Hopper.
Yeah, fair point.
Uh,
Fair point. Yeah.
what kind of animal would that be? I don't know.
Yeah.
Jackal?
Hyena.
They don't live in North America. But vultures? Was it a
Maybe that'll be
she
the
vulture?
mystery. Maybe Jacques brought the hyena from Africa.
Jacques brought the hyena from Africa, and the hyena killed his
In the plane.
family. They've died.
They're all dead. Yeah.
I mean, ils sont morts. Um. Oh, yeah. Why does he speak French anyway?
Yeah, I kind of feel like they just made that up. I don't know that they have any reason to think that he spoke French.
Yeah. There's really no. Do they even know that his name is Jacques? Is his
I
name
think they made that up
Jacques?
just
Oh, they
because
made it up.
because so I think I would have to watch season one again to be sure, but I think that the origin was that
Lottie was speaking French when she was smashing her head,
yeah,
and
yeah,
she doesn't speak French.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the origin of the idea that he was French.
You can't see me, but I'm rolling my eyes and shaking my head in bafflement, I guess.
And she still hears it that way, you know. We heard her hear "Il veut du
You
sang,"
built your song.
in like
Yeah, I
episode
mean they can do
three.
whatever they want because it's TV writing, but it's
Yeah, I don't think there's any particular reason to believe it's true, but anyway,
yeah.
I just feel like that possibility is open now. You know, that we know there's some kind of, because I don't think Javi did everything that's down in that cave.
Yeah.
So there's something else there that could be something that, well, it eats stuff with bones.
It
Crystal had
eats stuff with
bones.
bones, and Crystal had bones.
So I'm
Those
just saying. Now they could have made it
Ergo
more
Proctor Hawk.
they could have made it more obvious and have like Ben find.
Yeah, no, I think if they want us to think that, then in the next episode, as he's exploring this cave, he's gonna find
Yeah.
her clothes.
Yeah. There's one shot when he entered. Well, I'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Where were we?
Yeah.
Okay. In the attic, Lottie is struggling with her coat. Misty is there and tells her to take a deep breath. Oh, here's where Lottie talks. Lottie says if she dies, not to waste her body.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah.
That's her big line in this episode.
Yeah, of course, right.
Yeah, I forgot that she totally says that.
But I think there was also a scene earlier when, well, it doesn't matter.
If she says something else, I don't think I wrote it down, but
It doesn't matter.
I think if she said anything else, it was vague and I didn't feel the need to write it down. But this is definitely a
I
coherent
think
statement.
you should all right now go around. Well, no, the time to do it is in the scene that, well, anyway. I think everybody should just make a pact. If I die, you should eat me. Not everybody like in the world. I mean, every one of these people in this fictional scenario.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Yeah. There
You
should
know,
be like a pact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Crystal would have wanted to be eaten, I
Yeah.
think.
I think so too. In a way, it's like selfish of Misty to decide that no, I won't let that happen.
It's absolutely selfish.
You know,
of her. Yeah.
even though of course she needs to eat too, but you know,
Yeah.
it's
But
it's
she's,
it's but she's like like guarding a secret for herself that just
Yeah.
like
the expensive.
everybody
the whole group, yeah.
having
not just
something to
herself.
eat. I don't know. Okay. So I mean, yeah, this is very. I mean, Lottie as martyr. I mean, that's a thing. Clearly, that's what we're sort of establishing here. But it is also just very pragmatic, reasonable, normal thing to say. I think. Sometimes Lottie's normal. What are you gonna do? Um, not so much in the adult period of this episode, but anyway. So then Ben copies from the map onto a piece of paper. I think the implication is he's trying to figure out where to go to get to the tree. Um, like there's enough information on the map to know where the tree is from the sketch. I feel like that's the implication. I find that slightly hard to believe, but that does seem to be the implication.
The
here.
map shows all the trees that have that symbol.
Okay, so
so he should be able to use the map just find all those.
Yeah, and Natalie told him it was by the creek or something.
Right.
So I guess he puts all that together with the map and figures out which one it is. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. So then he leaves the cabin in search of the mysterious tree. And we will come back to that later, of course. So then we go to Lottie's camp. Misty defends herself. She thought Jessica Roberts was the B-mailer, but it was actually Adam, right? All right. So here we go with another fucking rapid fire session. So this leads to Shauna deflecting, and she mentions the FBI asking questions about Natalie. This is like,
Which is like she thinks she's making a good play with this. She thinks this is a quality deflection.
yeah,
But this is what actually sets her house of cards
it really
atop.
does. It really does. This leads to her
Uh-huh.
undoing here directly.
But it leads to something that I have been waiting for,
Yeah,
which is for Misty to make something of
yeah.
the couple of things that Randy dropped in that boat scene.
Right. And also, like, why was he so freaked out? You know, like, just the scenario, like, is that enough? Like, it did seem like
Yeah,
there's
she's
something
like,
else going
yeah,
on.
which he was really freaked out for an innocent. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, that's pretty much literally what
Yeah,
happens.
exactly.
So, yeah, so Misty admits that she did that with Walter. This leads to Misty realizing that Randy was scared. Andy mentioned Jeff. She realizes, along with Ty, that in fact Jeff was the emailer. And Natalie says, here it is. Take a deep breath, everyone. Shauna, was Jeff the one who sent the postcard? Was your fucking husband the one blackmailing us? And they cut the scene there.
They cut it right before
Lottie says, no, that
she
was
said,
me.
yeah, right before she says, well, I can only confirm that he sent the texts. And then Lottie says, oh, those postcards that I sent you, using the spirit of and okay, so I don't really believe that. I do think that this scene is supposed to be telling us that yes, he sent the
Jeff sent the
postcard.
postcards. I agree.
But no, I'm closing the door on it. But if I were willing to keep the door open just a crack, which I'm not, I would point out that there's also this thing in this episode about there's a force that brought us all together, and it's the force from the wilderness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What was the catalyzing incident of all of this? It was the postcards.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
not
yeah.
the text message.
But maybe the force from the wilderness, like, um, maybe the force from the wilderness, like, guided Jeff to do the B-mail. Did you ever think
Ah,
about it that way?
ooh, the wilderness was driving his furniture business under.
There you go. There you go.
Ah.
No one was buying their sets. And so
The wilderness is Rent-A-Center.
he had to make a sacrifice, and the sacrifice was blackmail. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It doesn't, but that's okay. All right,
so
let's continue.
yeah, so I think based on the way it's like it's interesting how it plays in season one. It's like they start off assuming that the blackmailers sent the postcards, and then they question whether it's true. But then it's just like, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know, and they that's why they never said anything about it at the end of season one, because they thought it was I think they thought it was obvious, you know. And that's, I mean, that's, I kind of suspected that. I At this point I figured, like, well, I don't think it should be Lottie at this point. That seems too late to be telling us that. And you know, the only other option seemed like it was Walter. Like, otherwise, it seemed like it had to have been Jeff, because that's like the simplest explanation. You know, the
Yeah.
one, the symbol was in the text. You know, similarly, and Shauna didn't get a postcard, and that those things together did seem like clues that it was part of the blackmail scheme. And I'm taking this as confirmation. If they want to tell us some bullshit later, I'll listen. But at this point,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop worrying about the postcards
Yeah.
and about Jessica Roberts. I will not
Yeah.
mention those things again unless they come up.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you on that. But
uh,
I also just kind of don't believe you, but we'll see.
Sure, fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, this is, I mean, yeah. But I did there's a part of me that relaxed when like finally they find this fucking thing out. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, it was bugging me that like they all thought like, oh right, Adam did the blackmail and that's why. It's just like, oh
Yeah.
God. So anyway, it
Yeah.
just it makes scenes easier to write, you know, if you do this. I feel like that's part of why they're doing this. Like they can hang out, they can talk freely when they all have the same level of knowledge about things. And specifically, they're dealing with this Adam corpse being found. So, you know, if they're gonna like discuss that to any extent, like it's gonna be weird if they're all like juggling different lies about it, you
Yeah.
know. So, and it's funny that Van gets to hear the lie version first, and then and then she gets to find out that that was not true
Right.
immediately.
Doesn't take long. Yeah. She's catching up on a lot.
Um, indeed. Okay, are you ready for the next? Okay, so we go over to Walter's place. This was not something I expected to see in this episode.
Walter is living my dream, but through like a dirty mirror. Like putting together an intricate, gigantic jigsaw puzzle, drinking wine by yourself in a mid-century modern mansion.
That puzzle was ridiculous.
That puzzle was ridiculous, and like tip of the hat to the person who made that puzzle, because it's like, of course, someone whose life revolves around Reddit has such an internet puzzle that they're putting together. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
cat astronaut.
Cat astronaut.
Anyway, but in my
Catstronaut.
fans is catstronaut. Yeah, catsmonaut. Really
Mm.
catsmonaut.
If you want to go with
Yeah, the
the
Russian
Soviet
version.
one,
So
yeah,
I guess Soviet. Yeah. So
sure.
I mean, I wouldn't be listening to Broadway tunes, but it was pretty fucking great.
Fair enough. Fair.
Except also, I'm not a narc.
I know, right? All right, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
So he puts together a giant puzzle. He notices some responses from Reddit about Adam Martin, and he sees that they found the body. This leads to him writing an email to the police saying he has information. And we know from the previous episode that Misty called him after her big vision and said that he was right about the thing. So interestingly, they don't verify that he heard that, but I don't know. These scenes are weird because Walter didn't actually say anything, and I'm not really sure what he's thinking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to. That's the
it's
question,
very
right?
ambiguous.
That's the question. Is he gonna point them to Lottie's camp?
Yeah.
Is he going to misdirect them because he is genuinely in love with Misty?
But like it strikes me as strange if he got the message that he would just be sitting at home. Like he knows where she is. You know, he was just there, you know? Like it just seems weird to me that he would just like not do anything about that and then contact the police. You know, like I don't know, I just find that odd. You know, and surely she left the number there, you know, just like Shonda did for Jeff. You know, they had that thing of like text anyone, you know, your number, this
I don't
number.
think she would have texted him the number though.
You don't think so?
No,
I mean, even if
because
she didn't, she called him from the phone, so he would have the
yeah, okay, well,
number
I call
from
her
that.
ID. Yeah.
You know, so it like one way or another, it's like if he's totally on the level,
Yeah, what's he been doing
it
in the
seems
interview?
odd to
Yeah,
me that he's just casually sitting at home doing a puzzle. Like, I don't know, that doesn't add up for me. So it makes me think that either he didn't get the message or he's got some elaborate plan that we have yet to find out.
yeah,
You know, but then again, it comes across like he's just reacting to what he sees on the screen and he would have been happy to just sit there and do a puzzle all night.
yeah.
I'm totally confused by Walter in this episode. I have no idea what to think.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a criminal mastermind, but he also doesn't seem like he's totally on the level with Misty. So I don't I just don't get it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think this does confirm that he's not law enforcement. So that
It
crackpot
does.
theory was wrong.
You're right. It does. It definitely confirms that.
There's no way you can buy a house like that with a law enforcement salary.
Sick burn. Yeah, I guess in a way it confirms, or at least it's consistent with his thing about like, you know, I forgot what he said. some accident, like
Yeah.
injury thing. He sued and got a
Yeah.
bunch of money from that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was another thing with this scene because we didn't know for sure that he was wealthy,
Right.
and now he's
It was just because he claimed,
yeah,
yeah, but it definitely, like, I mean,
yeah.
it confirms that part at least. Okay, so we will come back to this a little bit right after this scene. So we go to Shauna's house. Jeff hears a sound and finds Shauna in the kitchen. So we know it's a dream because there's no fucking way she drove there.
She didn't find those
She didn't find those
keys.
keys and
They
leave.
threw him too well.
Seriously, when I watched, as soon as she appeared, I'm like, this is a dream. This is a dream. There's no
No,
other way.
no, yeah, I know. I don't know if anyone was fooled by that,
Yeah, it's. I feel
but it's like
like,
it's obviously. And then as soon as she talks and she says,
yeah,
we needed to be together. I was like, oh, poor Jeff.
I feel like if they wanted to sell this as not a dream, they needed to put it earlier before the keys got thrown. They should have put it like right after when she's like, I need to go home. I need to be with my family. If they put it right then and then cut to,
Yeah.
then I might have bought it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think the point is to trick us.
I agree
Um,
because there's no way that would ever
yeah,
work to do that. So yeah, maybe we're just supposed to like know it's a dream and that's fine.
yeah.
So Shauna starts out being very nice, but then she slices Jeff with her electric knife hands. I don't know what else to call them.
I love it.
Um,
What happened to your hands? They've always been this way.
she pursues Jeff and says, "Relax, or you'll end up like Adam did." And she slices his throat, and Jeff wakes up. Then he gets up and finds Callie up drinking a beer. He takes it away and has a sip. Callie worries that she's like, Mom, meaning Shauna, of course. Jeff deflects, but finally tells Callie about the baby in the wilderness. And then he tells her not to try to carry Shauna's burden and tries to comfort her.
Yeah, I found that to be a touching scene. It's not often that we get scenes that don't involve one of the Yellowjackets directly.
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
It's true. Yeah.
so that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Callie's scenes in general this season have been in that track, and I
Yeah.
guess there was Jeff and Kevin in the
Yeah,
gym.
yeah, there are some.
No,
There are
I'm,
some,
I'm. There's so few you can name them.
right. But yeah, I thought this was good, and I think we mentioned in the preamble, this desire that I have to know how he found out about the baby. Was it just from reading the journals, or did they actually talk about it, he and Shauna? Just because Shauna seems like such a secretive
Yeah,
person.
I mean, I think from
Um,
the end of season one, when they talked about his finding the journal, I feel like it was heavily implied that they've never discussed what happened out there, and the only reason he knows, like he says, like I wanted to know.
yeah,
I just feel like she didn't tell him. I think he only knows from the journals.
he's just carrying
Now
around.
they might have talked about it since then off screen, and that's
Mhm.
possible, but I don't think she originally told him. I think he originally found out from the journals. That would be my theory.
He's carrying around so much.
He really is. He really is, and he doesn't
And
have the survival skills, if you will, to cope with such extreme scenarios. So, yeah, he's kind of breaking down, and I don't know what's gonna happen actually with Jeff and
yeah,
Callie. I don't really know where this is going. It's not obvious to me.
no.
I have a suspicion about what might happen uh, with with the police investigation, but I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah. I mean, it's you know, in general, I think this season has been about uh, sort of flipping the dynamic with Callie that they had earlier in season one, especially. I mean, it's more so with Shauna than with Jeff, but nonetheless, Shauna sort of had bonding moments with Callie, and this is sort of a Jeff bonding moment with Callie, and but sort of like the dark side of that is like they've brought her into that world. So I mean, more so Shauna has, but Jeff's along for the ride as
Yeah.
always. And so like that's kind of it's like they're closer, but also like more messed up. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I'll say. Whether it's a good thing or not
Yeah.
remains to be seen. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we go over to Walter's place. He grabs a bag and a purple overcoat from a closet. I don't understand this bit. I don't understand this bit. I was very confused by this. Like he's gonna leave. The implication seems to be he's gonna go to the police. At least that was my assumption. Um, but
Yeah, I didn't understand this either.
he's going somewhere, and he
Yeah.
just wrote an email to the police. So
Mhm.
I assumed he was gonna go to the police station or something. But we'll see. But I don't know. This purple overcoat struck me as strange because they emphasize it, and like I was like, did Misty have a purple overcoat and like he stole it? Was that the implication? Like I really didn't understand what the implication of the purple overcoat was. So
Yeah, maybe a listener will tell us.
yeah.
Because yeah, I didn't get it. Or they're gonna pick it up in the next episode.
It's just a weird little shot, and
Yeah.
it's like it's when something is focused on but seems pointless, that's when I start to
Right, and then we
question.
don't see him again in this episode.
Yeah, this is the final
So
Walter scene.
yeah, so all right. Well, we'll put a question mark on that and be on the lookout
Yeah.
for the purple overcoat.
Look out for the purple overcoat next week. Maybe it's not an overcoat. Maybe it's just a jacket. I couldn't really tell because it's kind of folded. It looked like an overcoat to me, but it might be a jacket. I don't know. It's some kind of like outerwear that's purple.
Now I'm gonna be Googling the difference between an overcoat and a jacket.
Well,
Wait, no. Let's not belabor that.
I just meant long,
Ah, okay.
like trench coat
like a
is what I
trench
had
coat.
in mind.
Oh, like if you want to go incognito, but you also want to stand out.
You want to look like the Joker?
You
Yeah.
want to look like the Joker.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you did. Yeah, I mean,
Headed to a costume party. Going to see the last of the Phantom of the Opera run at the local theater.
maybe he just normally dresses like that. I really don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
we will surely pick up with Walter in the next episode. I
Oh
am
yeah.
98% sure of that. Since it's the finale, and I don't think there's a chance in hell that they leave Walter here for this season.
With a mysterious purple overcoat.
Yeah, there's like that would be like the weirdest. Anyway, no chance. Zero chance that happens. All right. So we go back to the cabin. Misty dabs at Lottie and looks at her throat. This was the thing. You said she saw sweat. I didn't really understand. Even the second time, I was like, what is she even seeing there? But yeah, it is sweaty. I just didn't really understand that was the point. Actually, I had a different thought about what it meant. I will say that in a second.
She's
So,
turning into a vampire.
so then she makes the announcement. She goes out to the main group. She makes the announcement that if Lottie dies, they should make use of her to stay alive. Van says, I can't imagine being here without her. This is the line I was referring to earlier. I'm like, didn't you just say yesterday you don't believe this shit anymore? Anyway, okay, whatever. I already complained about that. Mari says, you had your explanation. Mari says, Lottie won't die. The wilderness won't let her die. She said it just like that.
What a whiny baby.
Travis says, if she starves, ... And that points out that applies to all of them.
Yeah.
Which is very true. You don't have to like get beaten up to starve, but anyway. Ty says they need to find a way to stay alive, and it can't be her. Meaning Lottie, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of interesting. Like why do you put it that way? Why can't it be her? Like I don't understand.
Like we can't just sit around and wait for her magic to come back, or we can't
Okay.
just wait around
We have to be
for
proactive.
her to get another
It's
bigger
like crossing our
walk up to
fingers
her.
that maybe
Right.
maybe she'll die and we can eat her. Okay. So okay, I think that makes sense. So yeah, so my thought was that actually because so the previous scene with Misty and Lottie is Lottie saying, if I die, she doesn't say this, but
Eat.
you should eat me.
Mhm.
Right? That's the implication. I thought that Misty was looking at her throat thinking, I could cut your throat and we could eat you. You know,
Oh.
I thought that was the implication, and that she immediately goes out and says, "This is what Lottie said. You know, if she dies, then
Yeah.
you should eat her." She
Yeah.
doesn't say that, of course, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so.
I thought she was like pushed by starvation to like actually think about just killing Lottie to eat her.
I think if they were gonna do that, they should have shown her like thinking about suffocating her with a pillow or something, not slitting her throat. Because you can't slit somebody's throat and then pretend that they just died of natural causes.
Well, I agree, but it is notable that the throat slitting seems to be the chosen method that they are going to use later.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Just throwing it out there. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't see the scene where they discuss, land on and agree to a way of sacrificing one another.
Right, we cut
Like
to they've already
that missing
agreed.
scene does a lot of work.
Indeed. Yeah, it does.
But
It
yeah, no, I'm
does.
sticking to my interpretation, which is that she's seeing the sweat trickle as a sign of her bad state, her bad medical state,
Yeah,
and and that's what prompts her to go on and say that.
sure, sure, sure. But I guess, yeah, I guess I was envisioning it as being a little bit like what happened with Shauna and Jackie, where it's like she's both like trying to comfort and help her, but also thinking I'm hungry as shit and you're dying and you just said we could eat you if you die. I don't know. You know, like not even maybe that she's thinking about slitting her throat, but like she's thinking about like eating her,
Well, I mean, I would
you know.
believe that if she was eyeing her high protein butt meat, but the neck is.
Could you flip over so I can observe your better half? Okay. So yeah, this is a big turning point. This is getting to the big dramatic point of the flashback part. So we will definitely return to this. So let me go back to Lottie's camp. Shauna defends the big lie. I'm just gonna call it the big lie. I That might mean something else to some of you, but anyway,
Oh
um,
boy.
uh, so she says that Misty might have killed Jeff, or the bad one might have killed Jeff. She doesn't put it that way, but that's the implication.
Right, right. If you knew
Um,
the truth that Jeff had
yeah,
been blackmailing us, then you might have killed him.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I would
yeah.
have killed your spouse.
She literally says that. Uh, uh, let's see. Yeah, here it is. She apologizes and finally says she's been making things worse, almost killing two random people, telling Callie about the murder, and saying too much to the police. She admits that if one of their spouses was the B-mailer, she would have killed him. So yeah, she
Yeah.
literally.
No, I remember because I
Oh,
watched
okay,
it
okay.
with her.
Sorry, sorry.
No,
I
no,
was
I didn't mean
good
to.
reading of the character, but she does say that
Yeah.
anyway. Okay. Um, Nat says, thanks for your honesty. And they should all talk.
She's sincere when she says that.
Yeah, I agree. No, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's all about this. She's the funny thing is like well, here's the let me just say it. They should talk. Lottie says therapy won't help with this.
Yeah.
um Something guided them there. It from the wilderness. She doesn't say it like that. And I guess I'll stop saying that. I paraphrase a lot. All right. I just try to cut to the chase here. And they have to give it what it wants. So yeah, I just think it's funny. Like, I guess this is a thing that happens sometimes in stories where like there's sort of there's sort of like a teacher student thing where like the student takes it further than the teacher does. Like she buys into the therapy so much, she's like, this is what we need. And Lottie's like, no, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna help at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it feels weird. Like, wait, no, what? Really?
If my week at this camp has taught me anything, it's that you can talk through anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny
Talking
that
is
like
horseshit and it can't help
at the
us.
same time that like Natalie's been like buying in, like Lottie's been
Buying
losing.
out.
Yeah, like she's just been like totally doubting that
Yeah.
that this stuff actually works and that like there's these problems that like therapy will never do anything for. Like I guess I feel like that's part of the implication of the fake therapy scene. Like her realization from that is like therapy isn't going to help with these problems that I'm having. Like I need to take this to I need to take this to a really really crazy fucking place.
Right,
Um,
because therapy is about getting control of your thoughts so they don't control you.
yeah,
But this, if it's not your thoughts that are doing the thing,
right.
it's an external force,
Yeah.
then you need to confront the external
Which like
force.
is clear. I mean, she
That is
explicitly
not what she
states that that's a
believes.
fear of hers, and
Yes.
yeah, it's like she's gone over that line, and they put that in previously on, so I am sure that that's what they have in mind for like what because they don't have her say all of that like directly, but I
Right.
think you can connect the dots. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. Like I don't know, it's almost like they switch places. Not that I think Natalie would be like someone has to die here, but just being the more like doom and gloom would versus being the
Hmm.
more like positive, like yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk it out.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a weird like switcheroo thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, okay, so all right. So then we go back to the cabin. Lottie is disoriented as the others put the skull on a stool with some offerings and a candle. This is their like ritual setup, I guess, is the idea. And Van has a deck of cards and shows the Queen of Hearts with the eye scratched out, something we saw earlier in the
Hmm.
season in a vision of Lottie's, that we now understand the significance. It's funny. It seemed
Yes.
like such a random image. I kind of thought it didn't mean anything.
You thought it was just an ominous.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like sort of a vaguely ominous thing. But yeah, it actually was very concrete what that meant.
Right. And so now we can assume that when she saw that card, it triggered an idea of herself dying,
Yeah,
being killed.
right, right. And that's when she goes out to the stump and cuts her hand. She's like, "Can't this be enough?"
Yeah.
It's like she was offering some of her blood, hoping that. So it was. I
Hmm.
got that, but it was more specific than I realized, which was like
Hmm.
the card was saying it's supposed to be you. You're supposed to sacrifice yourself now.
Yeah, but now she's now we got this other model, this
She's
other
deflecting
approach,
a bit
but
here. Yeah. I don't think
it's
she's
a little
fully
deflection and
fully
stonewalling.
ready.
No, I don't think it's. Well, do you maybe
Well,
if she
deflecting
was
isn't the right word, but
genuinely
she's not just saying I offer myself to
right? I think
sacrifice.
she's right. I'm offering myself as a participant, but you all need to be
Yeah,
participants
yeah,
because the wilderness needs to choose.
yeah, exactly. It chooses,
It
right?
chooses.
Didn't it already choose you, Lottie? But okay, whatever.
Right, which is
They don't have to
continue.
know about that. And that's what I meant by deflecting.
Yeah.
Like she's slightly dodging the implication of the vision.
Okay.
That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So right. They stand in a circle and prepare to draw cards. So we're made to understand that the implication is whoever draws this Queen of Hearts. Of course, there's 52 cards, so it's actually possible none of them
I know.
do.
I'm
But
like, how many times are you gonna go around this circle? Like, let's do 52 divided by anyway.
yeah, 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 yeah. Um,
But it
will
didn't come to that.
will be eaten. I mean, I think that's the implication, right?
Yes.
So they stand in a circle and prepare to draw. Misty draws first. She's safe. Akila's safe. Van's safe. Shauna's safe. Travis is safe. Ty is safe. Melissa's safe. Javi is safe.
Uh, uh,
Oh, so safe. The wilderness didn't choose, did it? Did it, Van? Did it? All right. Anyway,
yeah.
fucking bullshit, Van. All right. Anyway, so he goes over to Travis and they hug it out, relieved that they're both gonna survive another day. So here's another moment
Yeah.
where like, oh, a tender moment with Javi and Travis. Like, oh, I should have known. They had to get this in, right? It's their last chance. So then Nat draws, and I mean, we all know she's going to be safe because she survived. Like she's alive in the future, so it's a foregone. Every time they cut to a character who's alive in the present, it's like, well, they're going to be fine, right? So
Right.
she's fine. What? So so then she actually drew the Queen of Hearts with the eyes scratched out, and so that means they're going to eat Natalie, and so then the question becomes, dear viewer, why will they not eat Natalie? Because
Yep.
clearly they
We
don't.
know they don't need Natalie.
So who are they
So
gonna eat instead,
yeah.
right? And I'm thinking they're gonna eat Ben somehow,
But
but
Shauna's just ready. She's grab that, just
yeah,
turn her around, grab that knife.
yeah. The others are shocked. Shauna steps forward and has Nat turn around. She puts on the heart necklace. Jackie's infamous heart necklace, which she had taken from Jackie's body earlier in the
Yep.
season,
Chekhov's necklace.
and picks up a knife. She's about to slit Nat's throat, but Nat wants her to look her in the eye. It's like, okay,
But
you're asking a lot.
about that is though, like, okay, but you agreed to this, right? I mean, we didn't see that scene, but
Yeah,
I mean, yes, of course it's unfortunate, but I mean, it it was gonna be somebody. You
yeah.
knew it was gonna be somebody when you agreed to this.
Why couldn't it be a red shirt,
Yeah, I
Shauna?
know. Well, I said that when I
Why couldn't
thought
it be backwards hat
Melissa was
Melissa
gonna get the card.
or fucking Feral Gin or
Everybody wants to eat Feral Gin. Wait, Feral? Like she's going wild?
I just say that because that vision that Ben had where she
Oh,
was like foaming at the mouth.
right, right, right.
That wasn't really her, so
No,
it's
no,
not
it's
fair.
yeah.
But you know,
It's not
um,
fair. It's feral. I'm sorry.
what?
Nothing. Pass on.
Okay. Okay, she's about to slit Nat's throat, but Nat wants her to look her in the eye. Shauna struggles, but is about to do it when Travis tackles Shauna. There's a couple of flashes here that I couldn't catch. It like flashed some stuff on screen. I guess the implication is like the forces of the wilderness are at work or something. I don't know. Um, he fights a couple of them off and gives Natalie a chance to run. A few of them subdue Travis while the others chase Natalie outside. Javi finally follows the rest of them outside, leaving Travis there, just kind of pinned against the wall. Um, so yeah, here we fucking go.
Here we fucking go.
So yeah, Travis is gonna feel real good about this decision later
Ugh.
because this directly, at least Javi made the decision himself to leave.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go run, and
Yeah.
so I think that's like this the only saving grace for Natalie here. Like she didn't make him go chase her down and get in this situation. He chose to leave Travis behind and go help Natalie.
Yeah.
So, you know, um, obviously it wasn't a great decision for him, but um, yeah. So, let's see. Yeah, did I want to say something else about this? Yeah, no, I think that's good. Yeah, it's just a funny fake out. Like, I love how they use our knowledge of what must happen against us.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, routine. Oh yeah, Van. Oh, what a surprise.
Right.
Oh, Shauna. Oh, it's not you. Like,
Yeah.
the only ones was nervous about were like Akila and like Melissa, and
I don't
where
shit
it's
on
like,
Melissa. I was nervous about Aquila, but
yeah.
Melissa is the one. But then there's no, who cares about killing
Exactly.
Melissa?
I feel like
So it's
that's why
got to
they did it
be,
like this because
yeah,
they wanted to be a higher emotional moment,
yeah,
and
of
so it had to be
course,
someone we cared about more.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel like that's why it's not those characters. Like, I think those characters, their turn will
Oh,
come.
for sure.
But yeah, for now, this is where we are. Okay, so then we have a shot of Lottie and the symbol. They just cut this in briefly. Nat runs as the others chase, and Javi follows. And we'll pick that up in a second. So yeah, there's some like weird cutting in this episode
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. That is like linking Lottie and the power
yeah,
of the island up to these events.
yeah. That seems to be the implication.
And
Um,
I guess the viewer is left to draw their own conclusions about what that means in terms of causality.
As always, indeed, with the show. Okay, so then we go back to Lottie's cabin. Shauna says it wasn't real, right? Remember, Lottie? Remember your speech from episode 1? It wasn't real. It's all inside your head. Come on, go back to that. She didn't say that because she didn't even hear that speech. Anyway, Lottie pours something into some cups as she explains that it is the reason that they're all so fucked up. And the only way to get out of this is to give it what it wants. One of them. she reveals that one of the cups has poison in it. I'm just gonna call it poison. She names it, but I want to hear.
Phenobarbital?
There you go, phenobarbital, if you prefer. Was that the thing Misty gave Jessica Roberts?
Maybe.
Was that something else? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. That's why I called it poison. Anyway, um, Misty is skeptical, as is Shauna. Lottie summarizes what has happened so far. Ty killed her dog and, quote, almost killed her wife. Shauna will lose her family. Misty killed someone, meaning Jessica Roberts. Natalie tried to kill herself, and Van is broken inside. And has cancer. That's something that doesn't quite come
Yeah,
out of the scene.
there's this scene in maybe the last episode where one of them says, all that stuff comes out somehow, all that
Yeah,
stuff that they
yeah.
do. And I thought at the time, and then I thought again, in this scene, are they gonna try to tell us that Ty's cancer is like internalized? Like everybody else is
Van's
expressing
cancer.
sorry,
Yeah,
Van's
yeah,
cancer. Like all these other people, like their stuff is
yeah.
coming
Vancer.
Vancer. This stuff is coming out in these different ways, but hers is like manifesting inside
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to frame it that way. It does seem like they're implying that.
because she's actually like, yeah, she seems to have some mental health she seems to have some mental health issues, but it's nothing on the level of what the rest of these folks are doing.
Yeah, yeah. In a way, it seems like she's, aside from the actual that they like, she's healthier than the rest of them.
Yeah.
That's how it comes across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, and it's interesting that she is still sitting on a secret that the rest of them don't know about. So Lottie can't mention it here because she doesn't know about it.
Right, right.
Van asks Lottie to volunteer
Right.
directly, but she says that's not how it works. It chooses. There you go.
Titular line.
So they should each take a cup. Misty suspects that Lottie rigged it. Speaking of the big lie, um,
Oh my
um, but she says that they can shuffle the cups if they want, and she will choose last. Lottie says it will help us survive now. Um,
It helped us survive then. It will
yeah,
help us survive now.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the idea. So okay, I need to say a few things. Da, 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 yeah, um, yeah. So, one thing that was notable to me was she says that Ty almost killed her wife. It's clearly, I mean, Ty's clearly told her something about this off screen, right? Because she can't just like know that, right?
And the dog, because we talked about this earlier.
And the dog, yeah.
Like, does anybody know what she did to the dog? And
Yeah.
now we find out that she did.
It seems like so maybe in that night of revelry, she's like, "Yeah, I killed my dog," and so, but it also like clarifies that she believes that she actually did like try to kill Simone. Like I didn't actually understand. I wasn't 100% sure.
I think it could go either way. You almost killed her accidentally is still almost killing her.
Okay. Yeah, but I feel like if it's an accident, then she's not to blame. Like the line is she killed her dog and almost killed her wife. It's weird to say like a killing that was clearly deliberate and intentional, and then a killing that was just an accident, and then frame them as though they're the same thing. Like I don't know. To me, it seems like it's implying that she actually meant to kill Simone.
Well, it's certainly implying culpability.
Yeah.
That for not doing what needs to be done to address the bad one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's enough with the symbol on her hand, the weird look before the car crash to say that like there was something fishy about what happened with that.
For sure. Crash. I mean, I keep going back and forth on it, but yeah, ultimately either way works in my mind.
I just thought it was interesting that she specifically phrased it this way because it was a stronger statement than they've really made anywhere else in the season. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah. Here's the thing. Oh yeah. So there, yeah, two more things I want to mention. So the first thing is like I'll choose last. I'm thinking, what if they're all poison and you choose last? Like, oh, I chose that. You know what? I'm not gonna drink it because they're all poison and you're all dead now. I'm just like, that's not. I don't know. I feel like that's not actually a good thing to offer. Shuffling them, fine, but don't say you'll go last because that leaves.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously not gonna happen.
Well, clearly not. But I'm just saying.
But
How
yeah,
do you
that's,
know?
I mean, because they keep referring, making comparisons to cult leaders, and they made the reference to Heaven's Gate.
Yes. Yes.
Because in those scenarios, the cult leader goes last, and can choose to not.
Yeah, yeah. You know what?
You
I had
know.
a last minute change of heart.
Actually, I just got the next revelation, and Gorfop doesn't want
Has a
me
different
to.
plan for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah. So the third thing that I want to mention about this that just feels like the biggest elephant in the room that I think it's weird that no one mentions this is the it helped us to survive in the past because we were literally starving, right? We needed to eat something, and the only available food source during the winter was
Right. It's not like they
us.
just we sacrificed Javi, and then a deer showed up and laid down at our feet so that we could kill and eat it. And then we killed Melissa, and a flock of chickens showed up and started laying eggs for us. Yeah, you're right. It's like there's a more
I don't want to
direct.
sleep in a meat shed, but I'm sleeping inside without a few.
Yeah, and that's when the cabin turned into a chicken coop.
Yeah. Like it's just like none of them are starving at this point. None of them are on the level of like sure they're struggling with their personal problems, they're struggling with mental health issues, they're struggling with all sorts of practical problems, but they are not struggling with bare survival. They have food, they have water, they have shelter, It to me it just seems weird that no one mentions like yeah, we were literally starving when we did that. We are definitely, they mentioned how good the food is at the camp. We are so not starving. Why would we kill ourselves
Yeah,
now?
there's not a really solid theory of change here.
Yeah, it's like weird that like they sort of object to it, but just more on like, I don't want to do it grounds rather than like, if your justification is it helped us before, like, do you remember why we actually did it before? I don't know. It just sort of bugged me that
Yeah.
like no one mentioned that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a good point.
it might come up next week. We'll see.
We'll
Because
see.
clearly, they don't get to an end point there this week. In fact, that's the end for this week.
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
most efficient thing would be if Van, who's already only got a couple months to live, ends up with the poison.
oh yeah, good point.
Assuming
Yeah,
they do drink it.
yeah, you brought that up earlier, and I was like, yeah, that does seem like the most logical. I guess they could do some crazy shit like if they want to go like full loss, they could be like,
Cures her cancer.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah, or they drink it and like they all survive, and it's like, well, what happened?
yeah, yeah.
What does that
Yeah.
mean?
But I do think Van being the one, like, she does, she's the one who seems like they've set her up to be the most likely one to die. Now, they could just be faking us out.
Yeah. Well, they need Lauren Ambrose for the MCU. That's not true. I just made it up. Just that she's sort of a bigger name.
Is she in the MCU?
No, I just made it
Oh,
up.
okay, okay.
Um,
You did say that, and yet I thought you meant you just made up that
yeah,
she couldn't do the show because of the
she
MCU.
might be in the MCU.
A lot of people are in the MCU. Yeah.
But yeah, anyhow.
Uh, so yeah, I think that's in a way I would be disappointed if that's the direction they go.
Yeah.
But I really don't 100% know what they're gonna do
Yeah, same.
with this.
Same.
Uh,
We shouldn't have to wait too long.
they're gonna have to agree to actually drink, but will they? I don't know. It seems unlikely to me that they will. But on the other hand, there's like a little bit of a deer hunter quality to this, where it's like I think we brought that up earlier,
Yeah.
where it's like in the situation they're forced to do this thing, play Russian roulette. But then
Hmm.
when they come back, at least like one of the characters like actually just does it in
Yeah, it's
real
like
life
getting a thrill out
for
of
money and thrills and yeah, like some kind of
needing to
sense of
feel that
feeling, yeah,
connection. Yeah.
exhilarated or I don't know, whatever it was
Um,
that whatever kind of charge it gave to, you know,
yeah.
I mean, they say hunger is the best sauce, so maybe it was so good, the memory of that. I don't know, but it's like if one of you dies, like you're not gonna eat them, right? Like, what are you
Certainly
gonna
not.
do? Like, I
Well, you
just,
definitely don't want to eat poison meat.
it's just weird. I don't know. This is a weird
No,
plan.
it's a weird plan.
I get the idea of it in theory, but the execution of it strikes me as very strange, and the reaction also strikes me as a bit strange. So anyway,
Yeah, and
we'll see.
I mean, we know that we're not gonna shake it off, right? Because we still got 3 seasons.
Right,
So whatever
right.
happens, yeah, I don't know.
Can't be they're not all gonna die,
They're not gonna be
obviously.
magically cured, and nothing is gonna fix the problems. The things that she laid out, they're not gonna be undone by anything that they do.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's too late.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things that happens in TV sometimes where they try to like connect the dots of stuff that happened earlier with like that's why we have to now do this thing and like
Yeah.
sometimes those links are like pretty not clear. I
Yeah,
don't know.
they may not stand up to that much scrutiny.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, well, we'll see.
We will.
So we go back to the wilderness. Ben finds the melty tree, seeing the symbol and comparing it to the drawing. He finds a sort of cave beneath the tree and throws a crutch in and then climbs down. He sees something on the cave wall. I freeze framed it and I have no idea what he's seeing there. If any of you know what the fuck Ben saw on the cave wall, please jacketjockeys@gmail.com. I have no idea what that was. It was like a thing. I don't know. It was like kind of yellowish. I was like, is that a marking? Did someone like make that? I seriously have no idea. Anyway, um, then he sees a circle of stones with bones inside and more bones next to it. Um, and this is where we leave Ben for this week. So the circle of stones tells me that there's a person down there. Now, we know Javi was down there. Did Javi make the circle of stones, or is there another person? Just throwing it out
Yeah,
there. And the bones are in the middle of the circle. So it really seems like it's implying that a person was doing some eating down there. That, I mean, of course, again, Javi was down there. So could have just been Javi. But I'm just throwing it out there that, like, I didn't realize this when I first saw it, but that circle of stones is very deliberately arranged. There's no way an animal did
yeah,
that.
yeah. I want to go back and rewatch that scene and take a closer look at some of that. But yeah, I think it looks to me like some of the bones looked strewn in in kind of or sort of scattered.
Yeah.
And yeah, some deliberately placed stuff down
Yeah.
there.
So is it just Javi and an animal were down there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And we talked about where's Crystal's body? Did it get dragged away? Are
Right.
we gonna see her body in there?
Yeah.
Are we gonna find out that that tree, that underground network connects to that tree stump that was melty?
I thought this was that one.
I didn't think it looked at all like that. I thought that was a stump, not a full
No,
tree.
I think that was a full tree.
Oh, okay. Maybe
I
I'm
think that was a full
confused.
tree.
Uh,
There is a stump, but I don't think that was the melty one.
okay. Well, maybe. Okay then. Um, but I want to search around down there. I guess is what I'm saying. I want to look for clues. I want to gather clues. I want to be like you know, uh, I don't know.
Citizen detective.
No, I was just like a botanist, but that's not right.
Oh,
Anthropologist,
oh, oh,
archaeologist, a kind
uh,
of
sp-
spelunker.
spelunker? No, yeah. Is
Yeah,
there
I want to be a
a word for the science of spelunking?
spelunkology,
Spelunkology.
spelunkologist. Yeah, I don't know. I just really want to poke around down there. I'm sure that we're gonna get back down there,
I'm 100% sure.
but it might be next season.
Do you think
What
they're
if
gonna
we
leave
leave?
Ben there this
I
season?
think they might.
Oh man, I guess they have established that you can survive there, especially if there's a friendly animal that brings you food.
Well, I definitely think they're gonna leave him down there for this season, but I think they might not even show us any more of that cave this season.
I'm really thinking they'll show it next episode, but it would be weird. It is.
It's just the kind of thing that is really tantalizing to just leave it, hey, tell us nothing more about that. So then you have many months to figure out what exactly you want to tell us about
It's
that.
possible. It's possible. I mean, for a parallel, Javi disappeared in the second to last episode
Yep,
of last season, and we didn't see him again until this
exactly.
season. So, if they're doing a parallel with that, there is a logic. I want to see what's in the cave, so it makes me want to hope that we will get at least one more scene down there. But yeah, might leave it till next season. I don't know.
I'm
I don't
preparing for
know.
disappointment.
I mean, if they get back to it next season, I can live with it, but it is, I am disappointed in advance if this is actually all we get. So anyway, we'll see, but it's a cool reveal. I mean, Melty Tree was in the first episode this season, and no one had been asking questions about it, even though that's, they found the Melty Tree around where they found Javi, and they didn't ask questions. It's like, and wait a minute. I just had a realization. I just had a realization because so the setup for that was the bad one knows where all the symbol trees are. And Van makes this map with the symbol trees, and she's like, they make a symbol on the map. There should be a symbol tree here. They go there, they find Javi. Did they just because this tree has a symbol on it? They showed it. So it's like, did they just like not find this tree even though they were like right there? I don't know. I just find that a bit weird. It's because they specifically do not find a symbol tree when they go out there. But it's like now it seems like there was a symbol tree there and they just didn't see it. I don't know. Anyway, it's just a weird.
See, that's where I'm like, is it really the same tree?
I just feel like if there's two melty trees, that's too weird. It's just hard for me to believe.
What if the underground passages make that shape?
Yeah, it's not impossible. Not impossible. That's the reason why I'm skeptical. But hey, yeah,
Well, I like the theory that I just said.
it could be true. It could be true. I mean, it's interesting that there's warmth down there.
Yeah.
It's like a good place to be in this weather. So I don't know if they'll actually all like go live there.
Yeah, I was like, is this gonna be the new
It's
caves?
almost like we're turning into the caves versus the beach.
Yeah.
Like I'll stay at the cabin while I'm going to the caves, and it's
Yeah.
warmer in the caves, and blah 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 blah. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a friendly animal that brings you food. I seriously, I
Oh,
seriously wonder what's going on down there. But yeah, just because of the polar bear cave and Lost, like they showed bones in there
yeah.
too. It just that's the vibe I got. But of course, like I mean, they could
Yeah.
tell us all sorts of stuff.
All right.
Um, okay. So, but Bit Bop, outside, the others chase Natalie. Javi finds her and says he knows where to go, meaning this place, of course, that we just saw. The others stop, and the bad one gets a signal about which way to go. It's a weird little moment. Oh, he went this way. It's like,
Yeah.
yikes. Like it's like they're recalling that idea that
Yeah.
she knows. I know where Javi. My power is I know where Javi is all the time.
Yeah, that power's not gonna do her a lot of good very soon.
I know it's perfect for this scenario somehow,
Mhm.
even though she doesn't know it. It's funny. It almost makes me think that she's pursuing Javi, not Natalie. Anyway, okay. So then Javi offers to take Nat to a place, and they run across the frozen lake as the others chase.
Oh my god, I'm watching this and I'm watching him run and I'm like, there's no trees around.
Yeah.
I'm like, are they running across the lake? And
Yeah.
like the next second
Yeah.
he falls in.
Yeah. The ice cracks and Javi falls into the water. Natalie tries to pull him out and asks the others to help. Misty comes over and specifically makes Nat stop helping, saying, if you save him, the others will get you. So she stops, and the others arrive as they all watch Javi die. They finally grab him and pull him out dead. Van says, the wilderness chose. Fuck you, Van. That's bullshit.
Fuck you.
I got so annoyed the second time. I was like, that's come on. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then they cut to Lottie. Right when she says that, this is another one, and then back, and that was the end of the episode.
And Lottie looks like she's like got a look of content.
Is that what it was?
Or like
I didn't know how to
like
read
she
it.
knows, okay, it's all right, this thing has come to its conclusion. I don't know.
It is accomplished.
It is done. It has chosen. Wow, yeah, wow. Well, it's really intense. It's yeah, it's an intense scene.
Yeah, yeah,
It puts another kind of, put it in dialogue with Nat's line to Lisa about how they didn't deserve to survive
yes,
because of the things they did.
definitely, definitely. And I guess, well, yeah, yeah, all those weird little implications about like what happened out there, and who did what, and all, all that. Shauna's like, I had the look of someone when they know they're gonna die, like she's about to like slit Natalie's throat in this episode. It seemed like it's implying she was also the executioner,
Yeah.
in addition to
The dismemberer.
being the butcher.
She's really having to do a lot of the work, and I'm like,
Yeah.
some of y'all bitches just sitting back, you're getting ready to eat. Y'all better be stepping it up with some of these other chores.
Butts, please.
Butts. Yeah, you are such a butt.
No one ever says that after you get past like age 3.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
like 7-year-olds say it a lot.
But yeah, yeah, it's sort of in that spectrum. So like I brought this thing up earlier in the season, like Yellowjackets Hive had someone on where they described the Jackie thing as like soft cannibalism because she chose to die, more or less, or at least like her choices just led to her death directly.
Right.
No one really killed her.
Yeah.
And like this is like in between that and slitting their throat, like full on doing the violence to the person, right? He chose to go after Natalie. He chose to run across the lake, right? So he made some choices that led to this, but then he falls in the ice. Natalie does her initial reaction is to try to help him, but Misty convinces her not to help him because if she does, then she'll die. That's the implication. If you pull Javi out, they're going to kill you. And so she decides to let Javi die rather than die herself. And it's basically confirmed when Van's like, the wilderness chose. So it's like medium hard, cannibalism. Like they didn't set out to murder Javi. In a way, his own choices led to his death. But like Natalie did make a decision not to save him, and they all did, of course, as well.
They chose not to. They deliberately refused the aid that would have saved him from dying from an accident.
Right.
And so it's kind of, and I think in comparison to Crystal's death, where Misty edged her right up to the cliff and accidentally caused it. But if Crystal had been accidental, if she'd have been clinging to the side of the cliff, she would have pulled her up.
Definitely.
Right.
That's what it seems like.
But
though I guess lucky for her she didn't get put in that position.
And what had not happened at that point was this decision that happens off screen that, okay, well, we're gonna have this like lottery style, thing.
Hunger Games, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, well, it becomes a bit more like the Hunger Games once they're chasing people into a pit.
Yeah.
But before that, it seems more just like luck of the draw or unlucky.
Well, that's what I mean by Hunger Games. Like they're randomly chosen who's gonna be the sacrifice.
Right, but but not everybody. Well, whatever. We don't need to dissect a comparison between the Hunger Games and Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, and which one is closer to the scenario that we're talking about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean,
But
the Hunger Games also has the word hunger in it, so it
yeah.
feels thematically related, but obviously
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
It's not the same thing at all. Check out the
I
Hunger
mean,
Games if you
people
haven't. It's good.
do. I mean, very few people survive the Hunger Games. This is true.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There's only one, at least normally.
normally,
No spoilers here for the Hunger Games. So anyway, yeah, we'll see where
yeah, I cannot wait for the next episode.
they're gonna eat Hobby, right? I mean, that's a foregone conclusion.
They fucking better.
Now, how is Travis gonna react when they come back with Hobby?
Yeah, I know.
It's just gonna be like,
it's gonna be so bad.
and like, what's Natalie gonna say? I don't know. To me, like, there's some real like hard scenes they're gonna have to write to like get through
not
this.
gonna talk for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like, thanks, Travis.
God damn it, Melissa. Why couldn't you have just drawn the card? Why did we do the cards at all? Why didn't we all just take a silent vote and acknowledge that either Mari or Melissa is the one to kill right now? And the other one comes. Mari, because she's
that goddamn backwards hat, am I right?
And Melissa, because of that fucking hat.
It's like, what are you doing? Like, you trying to like befriend Durst? Like, what is that?
Again, let's get rid of her too.
Yeah, Gin is just
She's
there.
so useless, but that's the problem. She's too useless to kill right now. There's no drama.
It's true. Yeah, I kind of think they're there for like they'll do like a montage where they eat a bunch of people, like they don't even make a thing about it.
It's like a training video.
It's like we see like one of them drawing the Queen of Hearts, and then the next shot is everyone's like,
Yeah. I know the scene you're talking about. So between now and next week, when that montage may well happen, I'm just kidding. It will not be that soon. We can think of what song will be playing in that montage.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm sure there's some good ones. I'm trying to think of what the best one would be. Are there any good 90s songs with cannibal themes? Were Fine Young Cannibals big in the 90s?
I think that's a little too old for the.
Yeah, I kind of thought so, sadly.
But we'll give it a think.
There were the Fun Loving Criminals, which is almost like Fine Young Cannibals.
There are similarities. Let us know.
I never realized how similar those names were. Anyway.
Yeah, the three-part name really stands out. Neil Patrick Harris.
Is that the same thing
as Fine Young Cannibals?
He is a Harris of the Neil Patrick type.
It's all about the rhythm.
Sure, rhythm matters a lot. I mean, take it from me.
The rhythm is gonna get us.
The rhythm gets us all in the end.
The rhythm chooses. All right. Well, I think we've strayed.
I think so. We've hit that point where we got to say goodbye until next week. But I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be here next week at the finale, whatever the fuck it's called, and hope it goes well for all of you.
Can't wait to
enjoy.
Be excited and disappointed.
Please let me know, Patreon, Twitter, whatever. Like, what the fuck is that thing in the cave? Thank you.
Was it cave painting?
Dan, if you know, I don't know. Anyone. Anyway.
Any Dan.
Any Dan.
Yeah. All right. Well, to be continued.
To be continued. Until next time, we say buzz, buzz, buzz.